Welcome to Badgers football against Oklahoma State, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. The kid to the left, actually that direction is, who are you?
Anthony from
Anthony.
here in Charleston, West Virginia.
With my wife, his mommy, visiting his grandmother. I had to stay here in Philadelphia. I am here in Philadelphia. I'm Jay. And we are joined by a couple of very cool and special guests here on this live video discussion of the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Who we got? Anthony, do the honors.
To start, we have Ty Guy joining us, our Alabama guy, and we have One Scoop John, our Michigan guy. Ty Guy, welcome back, and One Scoop John, welcome to Sorgy Stories.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here and watch this game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go blue, I have to say. I have to do the obligatory. You might get a couple Michigan fans. In the voice of college football, I'd say one of our largest fan bases is Michigan fans now. So I posted the link on there, so you might get a couple of us.
Now, we are currently half red, half blue, as you can see with our Four Nights of a Hollywood Squares scene for Brady Bunch setup.
How about that?
There is no orange and black from any of us here. Mark, let's see. That guy you're watching from Mexico City. Now, John, remind us where you're actually located.
Florida.
You are in Florida. Okay. I'm guessing there's a
Cape Coral in Southwest. Yeah.
I'm guessing you have big Michigan fan contingencies and watch parties and all that type of thing in Florida, I would imagine.
There's a lot of alumni in Florida for sure. It's interesting being in this area because it's a little bit kind of in its own little island, so to speak. But even here, you walk down the street and someone will say "Go Blue" if you're wearing it, wearing the stuff. So can't complain. And the weather,
Oh yeah,
not bad either.
Oh,
completely.
Well, the voice of football audience is coming over because we have 5 watching, but this is not someone from the voice of college football. We got Steven and Andy in the chat.
Oh hey!
Can't stick around for the whole chat, but wanted to pop in and say hi. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Good to see you in here.
Yes, that is a great travel channel. They're based in North Carolina, but they travel internationally as well as around the United States. Great music channel as well. They did a live earlier today. Go check out that replay when you're done with this replay. Play it when you go to bed tonight after this college football discussion. Happy Hodag joining us.
From Green Bay.
And One Scoop John popping in. We're about 7 minutes from kickoff here.
Yeah,
I know that the Coastal East Carolina game is about 7 minutes and change or so from being completed. So we're going to have to do our best to observe the game through the Twitterverse.
Well, it's they said that they bumped it 10 minutes. I saw that. So it went from a 10-15 kick to a 10-25, I guess.
All right. What are the odds, by the way, that the newly retired J.J. Watt is going to be at this game?
It's possible.
I think it's likely. And Nick, the legendary moderator, and Nick the uncle is in here saying, Anthony, where are you? I'm in Charleston. That's why I'm not in the studio with Pops tonight. But yeah, so right now, as we're talking about East Carolina, Coastal Carolina, 45-21, 6:31 left.
Yeah, this is garbage time at this point, basically. But there's still, you still got to play, because you don't want to get reamed in the film room for not trying.
Right.
Even if you're in a game that's 20 24 points at this point.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
playing for your job next year.
Yeah.
Now, have either of you ever been to Arizona and been to a game at Chase Field?
Yeah, no, I actually lived in Arizona from 2005 to 2012.
That's correct. That's right. I remember that.
So, yeah, I've been to Chase Field many times. I watched a lot of baseball games there. I've only watched one football game there, but it was a lot of fun there.
How is it as a venue for football?
You know, Arizona State is phenomenal. You know, they have a lot of great football. And since the Cardinals went down there and they built that new stadium over there in Peoria, I mean, unfortunately for Carolina or Arizona, it's a lot of the fans are snowbirds. So a lot of, you know, like when the Packers are in town, a lot of the Wisconsin people are there. So you got a lot of the opposing fans as far as like, you know, you go to Green Bay and it's all Green Bay fans with just a mixture of a few in. But when you go to an Arizona game, no matter what the sport, there's a lot of the other team there.
Very similar to Florida, I would imagine. Very similar to Las Vegas as well.
Yep.
And I can tell you, we've been there for baseball as well. We really experienced that when we went to see the Brewers take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2019. Our favorite baseball trip. I'm going to throw the link in for people who want to check that out. In fact, we're going to go give the full playlist.
See, I always had fun during spring training because there's a lot of, you know, a lot of different teams down there. I'd go to the Angels, I'd go to San Francisco, I'd go to the Cubs, you know, and there's just a lot of parks down there with a lot of different teams. And it's kind of cool to go early on in spring training because you're seeing a lot of players that won't get the chance to be on the pro team. You know, there are a lot of AAA, AA players there. That's really cool and really fun to watch them play.
Yeah. I mean, I someday would love to get down there for spring training. I would imagine, John, you caught a bunch of spring training games in Florida.
Not spring training's not as much my. I mean, I'll check it out, but yeah, not a ton like in this general. You got to go up to Tampa Bay, basically, to see any of that. Now, I was for 4 years. I lived in D.C. and I was literally across the street from the Washington Nationals stadium, and I did watch.
We went there this past year.
I did watch that training, and I watched I Bruce Springsteen play there. The Boss came in 2016, and it's a great atmosphere.
Yes,
we are going to have a discussion. Go ahead. We're going to have a discussion about best and worst Christmas carols, by the way, now that Christmas has ended, at least Christmas Day itself. We'll bring up Bruce Springsteen. We'll discuss that at some point during this. I can tell you that. Go ahead.
Statue Sports is here. Go Braves and Nats, and Nick responding with, "I hope
there
the
you
Braves
go.
lose terribly this year." Go
fighting words.
We're talking about the fighting. Said. If you have a Trey Turner or Bryce Harper, Nats,
there you go. Well, that's a great. That's a very generous offer, Nicholas. I appreciate that.
I can tell you that Luke Fickell has led the Badgers out of the tunnel, meaning the very makeshift tunnel that was made out of a dugout or from one of the dugouts. With the Badgers are wearing their white shirts with red pants, which is very rare for UW.
Yeah.
So before we get into because there's a lot of questions I have about Fickell and how that's all working. But so J.J. Watt, obviously big news. J.J. Watt's retiring. Now, this has been something people have been talking about, I'd say, the last couple of seasons. I was kind of surprised when he went to the Cardinals, honestly. I thought he might retire after the Texans, but spent some time with the Cardinals. Obviously, this season didn't really work out the way that they wanted. What do we? I mean, that's a big legacy there, J.J. Watt.
Incredible legacy. I'll first give you a fast update that they are just about to kick off. Oklahoma State's going to be getting the ball to start. Before I put in my thoughts, because I've got a lot of them, go ahead, kid.
So the Pride of Pewaukee, number 1, J.J. Watt, is as Kobe Johnson retiring. I mean, it's sad to see. I was hoping he would come to Green Bay before he ended up going to Arizona. As by the way, the game is on ESPN2 temporarily.
Oh, great!
Yep.
Because I don't want to watch this crap if that game's on.
Flipping.
But yeah, so I said this to Pops earlier. Glad that TJ and Derek are still there to carry on the Watt legacy, and that's what I'll say about that. Sucks to see J.J. Watt stop playing, but I think he's gonna be doing something in the future. Who knows what it'll be that will have something to do with football.
I would
could see him going to coaching. I really could. He would make a great coach.
Pull a Drew Brees and do an assistant coaching gig at Wisconsin.
I could see that only if it's conducive with his wife's soccer playing career. Because they just had a baby, and I don't think they're going to want him to bilocate, shall we say, if he gets a coaching job. I mean, Wisconsin's got a defensive line coach's job open right now.
Yeah.
But just for that reason, I don't see him taking it initially. Once she's retired, I think that could be in the cards.
Well, and especially with the new baby. I mean, you can work around, her working, you working, but with the new baby, you're kind of locked in with her still doing her career.
Yeah.
It would be hard. People don't understand. Coaches today, it's not just football season. They recruit all year. They work, they work 360 out of 365 days. I mean, they work.
Exactly. Stuff on first down to set up a second down as
Oklahoma State, man. What happened to them this year? I think Wisconsin has a very good chance to win the game if Braylon Allen's playing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys have a very good chance to win this game.
Oh, 1,000% with that. Oklahoma State wearing the orange uniforms with sort of a brownish tinged black.
Fickell said he is being a figurehead in this game. He's letting them kind of do their thing, and he's just he's helping relay stuff. He's gonna be there, but I think that's an interesting way of doing it, where he's kind of starting to get ingrained in the culture. But anytime like I come into an organization, I do the same thing. Hang back a couple of weeks, let them see, kind of see what they do as an organization, each department, or in this case, each position group. And then you start putting on your stamp, after you kind of get a sense of where they're at and you actually get to see it up close.
Good point from Nick the Mod, Nick the Legend, with Mallory Pugh playing with the Chicago Red Stars.
That's Dansby Swanson's wife.
Right. That's right.
Oh, yeah, I got confused for a second. I'm like, hold on, isn't Mallory Pugh married to Dansby Swanson? Kelia Watt plays.
Yep.
Also plays for the Red Stars. So that's a Chicago thing.
Right.
So only 90 minutes. And we've got someone coming over from the Dark Thunder 16, the Tom Grossi Circle. L33 Bell in the house.
Got all kinds of folks in here.
Yeah.
a very wonderful motley crew. Now, Killiawat also does play for the Red Stars. I mean,
Yeah.
it's about a 2.5 hour drive between Chicago and Madison. So if they don't mind long commutes, they could do it.
Chase Wolf.
I don't foresee it.
So we got Chase Wolf under
Yep.
center for Wisconsin here. Interesting. Senior.
So,
With the 50,000 quarterbacks who are rumored to be going to Madison through the transfer portal, this is a definite here's his chance to prove himself kind of game, though I don't know if he's going to start next year.
yeah, well,
No.
Chase Wolf, I mean, I have his stats here. 17 for 31, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions over 4 years at Wisconsin.
But
Two touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
But if they keep handing the ball off to Braylon Allen and gaining first downs the way they just did, he's not going to be adding much to his stats tonight, and he's not going to have to.
Yeah. So before we get too far into the game, guys, what's your score prediction? Wisconsin, I think the 4.5 point favorite.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, that's easy money. I gotta
Yeah.
bet on this right now.
Yeah, Wisconsin's going to win by double digits, I believe.
Okay.
And Allen just took it to the 35-yard line. I may be way behind your feeds, by the way, but
Yeah, you're a few seconds behind me.
I think we're at the same. I'm on the YouTube TV, so
Yeah, I'm on Sling.
Well, and I'm in Mexico City, so I'm always behind a little bit. So
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandable.
At first, I said Wisconsin was going to win by 3 because that's what the line was at, and I was thinking, that's realistic. Then I found out that Oklahoma State's leading receiver is out, and Brennan Presley. So I'll go, and obviously Spencer Sanders is out. I'll go with Wisconsin 27-17.
31-20.
Okay. And also, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be having our good friend Tim Prangley on the show later. So stay tuned
Oh,
for that.
nice. Now, here's a question for you guys. Unfortunately, Mike Leach passed away. So does that make Gundy now the most entertaining press conference coach there is? Because Gundy is a lot of fun to watch in his press conference. I don't care if you like Oklahoma State or not. He is quite the character when it comes to press conferences.
true.
Yeah.
He is insanely fun, and that's even a long time past the I'm a man, I'm 41.
Yeah, exactly.
All-time greatest. All-time greatest.
So far, this is Wisconsin football as I've always imagined it.
Yeah.
Short yardage situations, run game. And I say that, and then they just try a 20, 25 yard shot there. But for the most part, that's what it's looked like.
Yeah.
And I think it just kind of shows you why somebody like Fickell is coming in. He's going to bring in a system that's a little bit more modern.
Exactly.
Get some quarterbacks in the transfer portal, like you were saying. We'll see what happens there.
The end of Berry Ball is what Wisconsin has needed to finally contend for national championships as they attempt doing the view about a 48-yard field goal.
47, yeah.
And they're usually
Almost
pretty
right
good
down
with
the middle.
kicking, so
Yep.
yeah.
3-zip Wisconsin.
Yep.
Now, discussing J.J. Watt,
Yeah.
I have to bring a little show and tell into this.
Okay.
You guys may know, but some of the audience may not, that I was blessed and honored and humbled to be, for 2 years, the pregame show host for Badgers football on their official radio broadcasts on their radio network. It was so much fun. I had to give it up because the kid came along and I couldn't be working 7-day weeks.
Right.
Anonymami needed me to be more present and needed me to be there a lot more for the right reasons. So I had to pull out. But I loved doing it. And in 2009, in fact, just a bit after you kid were born, I got a chance to travel with the Badgers for their road game in Hawaii. And Wisconsin destroyed the Rainbow Warriors. After the game, one certain J.J. Watt decided to act a little bit silly for the camera.
Boy.
Right there in the corner as I was interviewing players after the game.
That's about right.
The guy's always had a ridiculously fun personality. But, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying,
Yeah,
sure.
but he's also, and we've seen this so much with his NFL career, been one of the most driven human beings I've ever seen in my time covering college football. He had dog tags that actually had the acronym DBWH, Dream Big, Work Hard. And he turned himself from a walk-on tight end who flipped to defensive end to being, at one point, the best defensive end and best defensive lineman overall in the National Football League, this side maybe of Reggie White for a portion of time. I mean, and Aaron Donald's now taking over that mantle. But, I mean, he was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the stuff
Three Defensive Player of the Year awards,
Yeah.
which only 2 others received.
And he made it seem just so natural. I mean, it didn't, he was just so awesome that, I mean, I felt sorry for the tackle. I mean, he just, no matter who they put across from him, just did not stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I just put my prediction in the chat here. I'm thinking 32, Wisconsin, 10, Oklahoma State. I just don't think they have enough to. I don't think they had enough to contend in the regular season, and I'm sure people are setting out.
Yeah,
makes understandable sense. I'm saying 31-20. Bowl games can get weird.
Yeah,
I think Oklahoma State is going to be like a lot of teams are in bowl games. They're going to completely open up the playbook. Every trick play is going to find itself onto the field that they might have. And I think sometimes that can fool teams. But it won't be enough to beat it. And Wisconsin
Yeah,
is
I
just
mean, for Oklahoma State, their quarterback is a freshman. And he's had, 45 for 84, 482 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Young. We'll see what happens. I think this will be, and I mean their leading rusher, Ollie Gordon, is also a freshman. So I think it'll be interesting to see this kind of stuff.
We're going to answer Stat Sheet Sports' question here. Do our guests have channels? Absolutely, right there. Todd Guy.
One Scoop John.
And one Scoop John.
Yeah, so Todd Guy has a channel. I'm more of a nomad right now. You can technically subscribe to me, but you can see me more on Voice of College Football and other things. Golden Blue Dude, usually once a week or once every other week. I'm on Golden Blue Dude, which is how I think originally met you guys. From being over there. But Todd Guy, your channel, you got trivia and Jeopardy and all kinds of things going on.
We do Sports Jeopardy every Monday night over on my channel at 10 p.m. Eastern. So that way, a lot of the people you see on all these shows, they take part in it. So you can come over and, see how much they know in non-college football sports, and the NFL and NBA and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun.
Had I not been taking family friends who flew in from Milwaukee to Pat's and Gino's cheesesteaks after my work was done last night after 10 o'clock in the evening, I would have joined you.
You did not take them to Pat's and Gino's.
They specifically said, we want Philadelphia cheesesteak. we want a cheesesteak when we're in town.
Okay.
And the only time that we could do it was late last night after I was done with work. Those are the only places that were open.
Okay, fair play then. Fair play.
That
I'll
would be. See, I was gonna say, if I had to come up with my top places, I don't know. I think I would probably put Jim's and Tony Luke's, and there was another one I went to in my last trip to Philly, like about a month ago. I think it was called Sonny's.
Sonny's, yes.
Very good.
I loved Sonny's.
Very good. We're going to link up a one of our experiences at a couple of different cheesesteak spots in town, which happened to rhyme. One of them, Larry's. The other, Barry's.
We did. And Larry's, if I'm remembering correctly, was Kobe Bryant's favorite cheesesteak spot as well.
Right off the St. Joseph's University campus.
Yeah.
Before he would always go when he was working out, when he would come back into Philly. And Barry's is a couple miles away from a place that is actually my favorite here in town so far, D'Alessandro's. But we went with another great YouTuber, The Toll Road, one of our favorites, and just outstanding. Just outstanding. I should ask you this, Todd guy. What American, quote unquote, food options do you find? Oh, we've got ourselves
there you go.
a long run down to the 12-yard line.
Ches Malusi, the guy from Clemson who transferred to Wisconsin, he's been dealing with injuries. Huge run for him.
It's what we're expecting. They're getting big plays out of the running game.
Yep.
But what American food options do you find tastes of home when you live in Mexico City? And do you have a hankering for that? Or are you now so used to traditional, true Mexican cuisine, which you find in Mexico City?
Yeah, I mean, people laugh at me because, I mean, here, I literally have tacos 10 to 12 days a week, you know, I mean, because they put everything in a tortilla and it's a taco, you know, so I mean,
Yeah.
I'll put steak in it, we put chicken, you know, we put everything in a tortilla and it's a taco. And down here, there's no real good pizza. I mean, they don't put sauce on pizza, they put ketchup on pizza down here, you know, and it's like, you know, so I anytime I get back to the States, I got to have pizza. I got to have, you know, you can find decent burgers, you can find decent other food, but pizza is the one food down here that is just lacking. There's no pizza whatsoever really good.
Well, yeah, that stat line I read of Chase Wolves earlier, make that 4 interceptions 5.
Uh-oh.
Bad pick.
Oh, man.
Bad
That's what
pick.
you get when you got Panera Bread out there throwing passes.
But see, that's what most teams do, though. You run the ball really good, and then you throw it. For what reason? You know, you're running the ball. Why not?
Might as well go Navy. You know,
Yeah,
go
exactly.
triple.
Tonight you do that. If you have,
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, do you test out Miles Burkett, the freshman quarterback, who he got a few snaps this season. Like
Yeah.
do you go with him? I mean,
Yeah.
if you
At this point, if
Well,
this
did you
guy's
guys
going
see
to
that
throw
pass?
picks, go
Did you
for
see
it.
that pass?
Yeah.
He threw it off his back foot. He didn't step into it. He threw it off his back foot. That's why it sailed just straight up in the air.
In the great tradition of quarterbacks who played in the state of Wisconsin, such as Brett Favre and often now Aaron Rodgers. But he's not either one of those guys. He does not have that arm to be able to do that or the decision-making. And you make a great point. This is not just a bowl game. It's a 2023 preseason game.
Well,
Yeah.
and most of the bowl games now have become that. The practices are for next year. And even Alabama, Saban said, you're going to see our second string Milrow play, and you're going to see our freshman that you haven't seen yet this year, Ty Simpson at quarterback. He's going to put him in. He wants to see what next year's team, and he wants to know and play the young guys so he knows who to grab out of the transfer portal. We just picked up a tight end today, but that's what a lot of these bowl games are becoming. They want to win, and they're going to start out and they're going to try to win, but this is your 2023 team, and what do I need? And what do we need to work on? And I'm an old guy, so I kind of hate to see that be the bowls, because I remember when bowl games mattered. And, you went to the bowl game and you wanted to win.
Yeah, the increase in salaries in the NFL, plus the proliferation of the playoff, as we all now flip channels to go to regular ESPN since the MMA awards are on now. But those two factors are playing such a big part.
Everybody flip channels.
Yeah. But those two factors are what are leading players to opt out, and what are leading coaches to be like, you know what? This bowl game is a lot more meaningless than bowls used to be 30, 40 years ago. Let's use this as a teaching opportunity and a chance to look at, okay, who we got next year.
Yeah.
Who do we have? And speaking who we got.
Yeah, we got Nation, the resident Bears fan, on the channel saying, "Who you got, Ohio State or Georgia?" And I think One Scoop John can feel me here. I want Georgia to dig Ohio State's grave, put them in it, and bury them.
Now, see, unfortunately, being a Bama fan, I want Georgia to lose. I want them to lose their keys. I want them to lose their girlfriend. I want them to lose their grandma's cornbread recipe. I'm not going for Georgia. I'm not one of those SEC homers who, sit and chant SEC. Nah, I want Georgia to lose.
Oh, well, there goes Oklahoma State.
Whoop.
And he's going to go all the way.
3 missed tackles.
Wow. That's how you can tell nobody's giving a crap.
Ugh.
Nobody gives a crap.
And it's also
what's happening right there.
It's so hard to predict who wins these bowl games when the motivation is not there and it becomes experimentation.
Because that's not even a matter of you didn't tackle him. All you had to do is push him, and he's out of bounds. I mean,
that was like USC level. Sorry, Tim. Sorry, Tony. But that was USC level tackling right there. If you guys watched that last game.
And a very bad impersonation of Chris Berman on my part, so I'm sorry.
So going into Ohio State, Georgia, there's actually something to be said for the fact that Jackson Smith-Njigba isn't playing. And that ties, I think, to our discussion on people sitting out. And Todd McShay got into some hot water because he was speculating that he was just sitting out and he could play and everything. But I do think there's a kernel of truth to where does it end? Like, are people just going to sit out the whole season now? And if that's the case, do you look at allowing juniors to play in the NFL if they're really, really good, like Jackson Smith-Njigba, like Trevor Lawrence could have probably gone in after winning the national championship and having those 2 years. Like, there are players that I could see going in as a junior.
But see, the problem, the only problem I have, and I mean, I understand that there are players, but the problem is, in baseball, you can do it. In basketball, you can do it. In football, at 18 years old, no offense to anybody, you're a boy. And that 24-year-old guy you're lining up against is a man. And the difference of those 4 years in your size, your strength is big. And that's why the NFL says you got to sit out for 3 years after high school. You need to put on because there are the exceptions, and maybe a quarterback isn't as bad because he's not, getting hit and hitting as much, but you need to be more of a man to make the NFL. And, Now, I wouldn't have had a problem if Bryce Young was going to set out. I wouldn't have blamed him. He got hurt this year. You know, so, I mean, if you've been hurt through the season, I understand setting out. But, you know.
Let's take a Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
For example. Let's take a Derrick Henry. Let's take a Jerry Jeudy. That type of player could have played. They would have gone first, second round, I think, regardless of if they had played their junior year at Bama or gone for the draft. I think it has to be a very special type of play. I'm not saying let's just open up the floodgates. I mean, you got to really think about your career and think about is that the right move for you? And I can think on one hand every year the number of players that should do it. Jackson Smith-Njigba is probably one of the players that should do it, right? And he's going to go first or second round, regardless of if he had played all year or did what he did, which is basically glorified sit-out season.
Well, in the one position, look at running back. You only get so many hits. I mean, that running back, you only got so many hits.
That's the argument. Yeah.
If you keep playing, you only got so many hits, and you're shortening your NFL career, you know, because very few running backs are going to run for 10 years or 12 years. You know, you're not going to have a Walter Payton anymore. The hits are so much more powerful that a running back, you got 4 to 6 years now in the NFL.
Yeah.
And like you said, you need to leave early. Some of those players do need to leave.
Get the bag, get the signing bonus, and put it in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is where I've actually thought about this. I'm not sold that this is what you should see with the NFL draft and with college football, but just putting this out there as a conversation continuum. As Wisconsin gets themselves some yardage almost
got it.
Wow.
Just
tripped up before going to the house.
Good, they're showing it again. Look at this.
Yes.
This is why. This is when you think of Wisconsin, you think of run game, breaking off a special teams play
into OK State territory at the 42.
That is what's known as a shoestring tackle. I mean, he barely got him.
Exactly. But here's what I'm thinking. You see this with baseball. You see it very, very occasionally with the NBA, with the Larry Bird case. An NFL team can have the right to draft a player at any age, but they have to play X amount of years of college football, and the NFL team retains that player's rights. So say, Anthony, you become the top-rated quarterback in high school football playing for St. Joe's Prep here in Philadelphia in 5 years, and you're a senior in high school. The Green Bay Packers can draft you, but you have to play X amount of years at Wisconsin or West Virginia or Michigan or Alabama, wherever you choose to go to school, in order to gain enough experience before you get to the league. But you can enter the NFL perhaps faster than someone not drafted early. There's like a 3-year minimum for those who don't have that draft situation, maybe a 2-year minimum for those who do. I'm not saying it's the solution.
Is that kind of what they do in baseball? I noticed Kyler Murray. Remember, Kyler Murray was signed to or was drafted by the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
And then obviously he did his next year at Oklahoma, and then decided to play football instead. But I'm pretty sure they still own his rights in baseball, don't they? Like if he ever decided to go back to to go into baseball.
Well, they only own it. They only own it for 4 years or 5 years. So what happens is, like a high school, I draft you as a senior. Now, if you don't go to baseball the first year and you go to college, you have to go to college for 4 years. You can't just play 1 year and then come back to the team. You got to, but yeah, they'll draft players like that. And I do think, though, today with the NFL talking about, I said boys and men. I think colleges, with what we know, colleges are putting a freshman and putting the weight on them and the strength on them so much faster today that, sophomores are a lot bigger and stronger now than they were 30 years ago. With the sports science we have now, they know how to put muscle on you, how to put,
Another stop for Oklahoma State, not allowing with Wisconsin to get even close to the end zone this time.
Jeez.
Which I'm surprised. I'm
Yeah.
surprised. Punting situation there at the 47-yard line. Just shocking.
Gotta hold up the Big Ten here, guys.
Please. Ball down to the 6, though, so OK State is going to have to go 94 yards. I just want to take the screen off just for a second, just so we, again, let people know it's Anthony and Daddy from Sorgy Stories with Tide Guy and John D'Adamo. Go check out each of their channels. Go ahead, kid.
Yeah, so we've got a question in the chat from King Cookie Nation. Best wide receiver in the draft. What do you guys think on that?
Oh. There's a few good receivers. I don't know that there's actually a breakaway number one.
Yeah.
There has been the last few years, where there's been that dominant receiver. There's so many good ones right now where I think you could put 4 or 5 of them together.
Yeah, Jordan Addison,
for sure.
I would say would be one.
Yeah, Addison would be a good one.
Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, I'm surprised on the on Pro Football Focus's bid board. They had Hyatt all the way down in the 3rd round, which I think that if someone can get them 2nd or 3rd round, I think that they could have a really good receiver for the future.
Now Jackson Smith and Jigba is also going to go probably 1st round. Now, not as high as he would if he was healthy this season, but he's still going to probably go late in the 1st round or early in the 2nd round.
That was one of the most errant passes I've seen in I don't know how long. Pass from Rangel.
Yeah, I don't think Shaquille O'Neal could have caught that one.
No.
Man,
that's saying something.
Statue Tour says Hyatt not a 1st round talent.
Hyatt showed real greatness this year. I mean, he had signs of it, but the problem with Hyatt is he a one-hit wonder? This is the only year that he's really shown, so
that's all you need. That's all you need.
Well, yeah.
1 year.
Wisconsin getting the punt. Ingram with a very short return. That was the type of dancing in the right after making the catch. And Keith Jackson, I remember made the comment, you can't start dancing out there. It's like you're wearing a tutu. You got to run north and south in a situation like that. I miss Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
Did you see the crowd or the lack thereof at this game?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the crowd really.
In the upper deck of the south end zone at Chase Field, there is like 2 people.
Wow.
2 people in a stadium that seats 50,000. I mean, kid, you and I have been to baseball games there where they had some pretty decent crowds.
Well, it's usually pretty empty, though, to be fair.
Oh, here come they're showing who's coming. You got a couple of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Nick Evers from OU. Okay.
I've heard, though, I've also heard Wisconsin in the mix. I know that they said that Sam Hartman is expected to go to Notre Dame, but I've heard things about Hartman to Wisconsin and Grayson McCall to Wisconsin.
Wow.
So I think that, I mean, in this game, Coach Fickell was stepping aside, as we talked about earlier a little bit, and kind of
Right.
letting Leonard do his
Figurehead
thing.
was his
Yeah.
word.
And I think that's good, but I think after this game, Fickell's going to take this over, and he's going to
Yeah,
do his thing with
absolutely.
it. And I have to say, I was disappointed to see Jim Leonard not sticking around as defensive coordinator.
I'm not
I'm not
surprised.
shocked though.
I kind of think though the reason he didn't stick around, I think he thought he had the job.
Yep.
You know, and he got to coach for it, and I think it was kind of hurt feelings. It's kind of hard to stay on when you think you're the next in line, and
I get it.
The job.
Yeah.
I get it, but the counterpoint is, would you? They must have known that they were in the running for Fickell, or at the very least that people like Fickell would be potentially available to make the move that they did. I don't know if they would have moved off Paul Christ if the alternative was going to be
fake punt, first down.
Okay.
To the 48-yard line of Wisconsin.
That's what we need to see.
The Packers tried that on Sunday. It didn't work.
No.
No, that did not work at all for the
but
Packers.
this is Oklahoma State's defense.
Exactly.
Not the NFL. Not the NFL. But to continue your point, John.
Wisconsin, Andy Vujovich?
Vujovich. From the metropolis of Columbus, Wisconsin, northern part of the state. But back to your point, John.
Oh, I was done.
Okay.
I will say, completely having nothing to do with college football, but I got a notification from Bleacher Report that Luka Doncic scored his 53rd point to send the Mavs game to overtime.
Okay.
Good for him.
There you go.
That popped up on my feed. But
now, how did Marquette do for you guys tonight? I see Marquette played earlier. They win? Okay.
We got him.
I seen it was on. I was doing other things and didn't get a chance to see any scores or that, but I noticed that was on, and I figured you guys were watching it closely.
I didn't have it on. I actually had the bowl game on. I forgot we were playing. But, yeah, we were – I don't know. The Happy Hodag disagrees with you.
I'm checking the map right now, just to confirm.
I do want to say, though, I thought there was one quote from Fickell that I really liked, if I can find it here.
I think he's done everything right so far. I think he's had a picture-perfect rollout and 3 weeks, and I'm not completely convinced he's completely figurehead. I think there was a little bit of a, hey, let's try a fake punt right there. I don't know. But just my read on the body language there.
I think it's
Sorry,
just having
Anthony.
fun. It's a bowl game.
Yeah. Oh, you're good.
Yeah, northeast of Madison, by the way.
Yeah. So he said, "How arrogant would you have to be to walk in 3 weeks and think you know better about what's going on within the program? Yeah. What these guys have done over, whether it's a 5-year period with Chase Wolf, or even a year period with Miles." Talking about Miles Burkett, to make that decision. And I think that just shows that he's just kind of letting these guys do their thing. And he also said that he said the way we practice, the way they go about a Tuesday practice, a Wednesday practice, a Thursday practice, a Friday practice, how they're going to go do game day. He's just not changing anything, which I think is good for the game. Keep it normal. Let Leonard do his thing. I think he's going to, throw in a few of his things, which he did, I think, with the fake punt. But, yeah. And I do want to say, though, on the Jim Leonard thing, what do we think? Does Jim Leonard have a future as a head coach in college football? Does he become a defensive coordinator in the NFL?
I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be giving him a phone call.
Yeah. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be giving him a phone call.
I think so. You'll see him coaching in college within the next 2 years. He will make a head coach.
And Anthony and I have debated this, but because partially it's a much higher salary to be a head football coach in college than an NFL defensive coordinator. I still think, even though they've made the public pronouncements that Neil Brown is going to be the coach at West Virginia next year, I still think Jim Leonard may be in play for the WVU job.
Well, we do have on Golden Blued and Mark Rogers the day after the national championship, Tuesday the 10th. Ren Baker, the athletic director, is going to be joining them. So I think of at least of what Joey had said to me. So I think we are going to find. Golden Blued is going to be pressing that question on Baker, which will be enjoyable.
Our favorite fun troll, Jim Leonard, being the next.
There you go, Ty Guy. I think you would. You would love
I would
that,
like to
you?
see it, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Unfortunately,
I mean, that would be great for you guys.
I will tell you though, this has not come out yet, and it won't come out for a few more weeks. But I cannot wait for New England to finish their season.
Bill O'Brien's going to New England.
Because as soon as New England finishes their season, Bill O'Brien is going to be the new offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots.
They need, and I
I'll
gotta
be
say,
happy to pay for the moving cost if that's what it takes to get rid of Bill O'Brien.
they need the Patriots. That's actually an upgrade.
Yeah.
At the Patriots right now, because they've got Matt Patricia, a defensive guy, calling offensive plays.
Yeah.
So they need him. And that's a thing you don't really expect to say very often, that somebody, but like Bill O'Brien is like, I think everybody's going to be happy with this move. Bama fans, Patriots fans, everybody.
Honestly, though, Bill O'Brien is a great guy. I mean, he really is a great guy, and I don't blame all of our offense on him. I mean, like a lot of Bama fans, I think he's doing the best with what we have this year. I mean, we're down this year. Our offense is not what it's been the last 3 or 4 years,
Yes, the happy Hodag. Yes. The same, we're talking about the same guy. Yeah, he was the play caller this year.
And remember, there any point where Belichick proteges and Saban proteges meet, remember, Saban worked for Belichick in Cleveland.
Yep.
So they're still close.
Yeah.
Just imagine that phone call. Hey, bail me out of this.
I'll tell you what, though, I do thank the Miami Dolphins for not giving Saban more control, because he wanted Drew Brees. And if he would have got Drew Brees, he wouldn't have come to Alabama. We wouldn't have had Bama the way we know it. You
would have had Rich Rod probably.
Yeah. Oh, thank God Rich Rod turned us down. That was a blessing in disguise. I loved it. That was the greatest move he ever did, was turned us down.
Man, there is like no one at this game.
No.
Looking at the upper deck stands, there's like
there's
nobody. Oh man.
Well, the problem is you got the Fiesta Bowl coming in, in a week. So
this is still the first, I would say, decent bowl game in a couple days.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of East Wichita State type bowl games. And this one at least has recognizable teams.
Yeah.
You could play this game at Grand Canyon State University or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
in their
Grand
football
Canyon
stadium,
State.
and it would be sold out.
Yeah.
More broken tackles by the Wisconsin defense.
Unfortunately, there's a couple stadiums in Chandler, which is a suburb of Phoenix.
There we go.
Yep.
That's more like it.
There would be, this wouldn't even be a sellout there at the high school stadium.
Stuff for a yard loss. Yeah, exactly. Which proves to you again, as Anthony takes a break for a second, proves to you again that these bowl games are made for television.
Yep.
They are fun for the players to play in. They are cool for the fans who, as an Oklahoma State player, slips on an overthrow to make it 3rd and 11. But, I mean, yeah, it's fun for fans to travel to these bowl games and get in warmer climates. But these are made for television events.
Yep.
I mean, ESPN has owned the bowl game industry for now going on at least 20 years.
Yeah.
And almost
Oh,
a
should've
pick
been a
six. Oh man, right in his hands.
He will never have another pass that. He will never have another pass that easy to intercept in his life.
He will never have another pass to intercept in his life, possibly.
Yeah.
Not because he's a senior and this is his last game.
Oh man, he could have been a hero.
He would have had a memory for a freaking lifetime.
Yep.
And that's the other reason why players, in many cases, play extra hard in this game, because this is their last game. They have no backup.
Legends are made at the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Okay.
Now, I can't tell you guys exactly what's going on, but next week, check into my show. Check into my channel.
Monday, 10 p.m. or a different one?
Sometime next week. I don't know if we're going to announce it Thursday, but something new is coming. And so it's going to be nice. It's going to be something nobody's doing right now. And so we're going to partnering up with somebody, and we're going to, I don't know if we're going to announce it Thursday during my trivia, but sometime this week we're going to make the announcement.
This is what in the broadcast world is known as a tease.
Yeah.
Very excellently done. As Anthony is back.
I am back. I did want to touch, though, on something with the bowl games. And this cannot involve your team. Like, just completely unbiased, favorite upcoming bowl game. What are we looking at? What do we want to watch the most? And that doesn't involve your team.
Probably the Texas. What bowl's Texas in? I forget. That game. That's going to be interesting bowl game. I always appreciate the Orange Bowl for whatever reason, and Alabama don't play in the Orange Bowl really ever. I don't know if we've ever. Yeah, we played there a couple times, but I mean the Orange Bowl. I always have fond memories of Nebraska playing there and Miami, and I always appreciate the Orange Bowl for some reason.
I miss Don Cricky and Bob Trumpy doing that game on New Year's night every year. I miss those guys.
Yeah.
Well, TJ, I'm sorry to hear about your brother's retirement.
Hey, we got TJ Watt in here, everybody.
If only.
Our two favorite trolls in back-to-back comments. TJ Watt and Bet. TJ, although the real TJ Watt is from just outside of Milwaukee, TJ strongly dislikes all Wisconsin sports teams. And we've got Luther Sanders saying, "Go Blue" from Texas.
Okay.
Hey, I told you we would have Go Blue in here.
There you go.
Nice.
So Go Blue. Although
Luther, I don't know if I've ever seen you in here before, so if you're
welcome.
Welcome.
And
love it.
Yeah, give us a hit on the subscribe button and give all these guys hits on the subscribe button. Check out all their channels.
Yeah, so there is John's Twitter and Ty Guy on YouTube.
Yeah. I put my channel in the link as well, in the chat as well somewhere. But
John, you need to find some free time and get your channel going and get a channel. And
I have a channel. It's just I posted a few videos as like tests, and that was before I got more caught up in Voice of College Football. And between that and D4 and everything I was doing, I kind of got a little going on that. So as also, yeah, I like doing this. I like coming on and contributing and helping out as well.
Thank you.
It's a lot easier to contribute than come up with your own material all the time. I mean,
damn right.
It's a job when you know.
Damn, that's my point.
Oh,
that's my point.
We used to be mainly a vlog channel because, I mean, we've done so many adventures with sports and other things. but the editing process is ridiculous. I mean, I edited a video to give that kid his birthday present to announce what his present's going to be.
Yes,
And it was about a 3-minute video. It took 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, with trying to be a husband, be a dad, work at KYW News Radio, or really work any full-time job, plus, I mean, the responsibilities here around the house, and when you own especially when you own your own home, all that's involved. I mean, editing time, what's that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're hoping that this upcoming year, I'm finally going to be able to get back into good edit mode, and we can do some of the vlogs. We've got like 25 vlogs in the can waiting. Whole bunch of stuff.
Almost every weekend.
Boom. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh, Beth. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I also heard Todd guys Stetson.
Well, you want to talk about games I'm looking forward to? Georgia, Ohio State is one, and of course, I do hope that Georgia stomps them, because anytime anybody goes up against Ohio State, I know that I'm supposed to be rooting for the Big Ten and rooting for the Big Ten to win more bowl games, but I was a Duck fan that day when they beat Ohio State. It's just a wonderful thing to happen when you see teams beat Ohio State. So I would love for Georgia to. I know you're on the other side of that, Todd guy, but like you know how deep seated that rivalry is.
Oh yeah, I remember when Auburn played Oregon in the national championship. I went to the game. I spent about $150 on Oregon gear. I spent up in my
Nice. I was going to ask, how deep-seated is Alabama, Georgia to you? Because we all think Alabama, Auburn.
Honestly,
that's depth, but yeah.
People don't understand. There's 3 camps in Alabama, actually. Everybody hates Auburn, and that's true. But old people like me, we hate Tennessee. We say we hate Auburn because we have to. We hate Tennessee because we want to. And I mean, I hate Tennessee. And then some of the younger people look at LSU as the big rivalry because, once Saban got LSU going and then came to Alabama, there was LSU and Alabama for many years determined who won the West. So
rivalry of excellence, yeah.
Yeah, that became a huge rivalry for a lot of the young people. Georgia is kind of our rival, but it's more of a fun rival. There's really not a lot of hatred, at least on the Alabama side. There's not a lot of hatred because we don't play them as often anymore. So it's not really a hatred like Auburn and Tennessee. And, I tell people that they don't understand this. I would rather go 2-10 and beat Auburn and Tennessee than go 10-2 and lose to those 2 teams. I really would. I cannot live in a year where we lose to Auburn and Tennessee in the same year. That's just not a good year.
I would imagine there's. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have the poll results in Wisconsin, 55%, Oklahoma State, 35%. Go Pack Go, which either means I like the Packers or I don't care, 10%. And the Diamondbacks, because they have no fans, 0. And Cody Hankins, our guy from Ballard Sports Media, who's a regular over there and on some other channels, Bama guy, says, I have Michigan beating Georgia in the championship game. I think Michigan gets there. I don't know if they win.
I think
gotta believe
to win it.
You gotta believe.
I hope they do. Go Big Ten unless it's Ohio State.
That's right. Now, so I mean, obviously, we can't overlook TCU.
Yeah.
And TCU they have a great quarterback. They have a great offense.
Reverse.
Defense. They're in the 70s, so I think that's really the opening. Is they're going to stack the box. They literally said they're going to stack the box, which Ohio State tried. Well, That worked well for them in the first half, didn't work so well for them in the second half because eventually people get tired, and even TCU will get tired. And what happens then Donovan Edwards gets to break out for a couple 70-yard runs.
I want to give credit to Chase Wolf. He blocked a linebacker.
Yeah.
He actually blocked a linebacker. Wisconsin gets the first down on the next play, but he blocked a big guy. It was a little gentle shove, but it was enough. Better than a lot of Aaron Rodgers blocking techniques. But, I mean, I've seen Rodgers completely whiff on some blocks. I think he had one good block against Dallas where he showed off his muscles or lack thereof with me right after that. But, I mean,
a lot of times it depends on who they're blocking. You know, they'll always block a safety. You know, if the safety's down, we're going to block the safety. But that big linebacker, that end, you know, hey, we're not blocking that guy. You know, you're going to hurt me.
They also make sure to scheme that a quarterback is never going to block a 300-pounder.
Right.
I mean, they'll get eaten alive in those cases. And, I mean, Luther said it accurately. Big Ten, never Ohio State. I think that's most of us in the Big Ten.
Yes.
We take that attitude because we're just being sick of Ohio State. 10,000%.
Unless it's like, now if Purdue was actually, well, let me rephrase that. Root for the Big Ten, but never Minnesota or Ohio State. Sink the boat. Sink the boat all day.
I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even have that issue.
I can't root for Minnesota. But I will say, like, if Purdue's playing West Virginia, I'm obviously gonna root for WVU.
Right.
But like normally, I'll root for the Big Ten unless it's Ohio State or Minnesota.
Now, see, in 1981, I went to the Rose Bowl with Iowa. I lived in Iowa, and I had friends who were Iowa fans, you know. So when they went to the Rose Bowl in '81, I went and watched Chuck Long and Ronnie Harmon and those guys, and you know, that was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Harmon fumbled the ball more in that Rose Bowl than he did all year.
Was that against UCLA?
Washington.
Oh, was that the Warren Moon Washington Huskies, or was he gone by that point?
I thought he was gone. Because Warren Moon, wasn't he like 74 or 75 through like 78, 79, if I remember right?
He might have been, but I remember he played in at least one Rose Bowl.
Yeah. And see, a lot of people don't know Warren Moon until he showed up at Houston and started throwing the ball all over the place. You know, they don't realize that he went to Washington and he played a long time in Canada.
Oh, he killed the CFL. He destroyed that league. That's why they finally gave him a chance.
Yeah.
I saw a Warren jersey earlier today.
Oh, completion.
Key pass. The old key pass.
Yeah, I was in we got some.
Oh, I love a good rollout.
Was it the Minnesota Warren Moon jersey?
No, it was Houston.
Houston? Okay.
We were walking around in Charleston, and I saw a one in a weed store. And I said,
one of my prized possessions is a Houston Oiler jersey. I have a Kenny Stabler Houston Oiler jersey autographed by him.
Oh, sweet. That is awesome.
As a little kid, that was my team, was Houston, because Kenny the Snake played for Houston when I was a little kid, and so that's who I rooted for.
I also give credit to, you guys know who the yacht rock musician Christopher Cross is, correct?
Yeah.
Ride Like the Wind Sailing.
Yep.
There are YouTube videos of him in concert wearing an Earl Campbell jersey for the Oilers. I mean, he's this like ultimate soft yacht rock guy, and he's wearing Earl Campbell stuff. Touchdown, Wisconsin!
There we go.
Almost. They might be at the
Oh,
1
That's
yard.
offside.
Oh,
But they're throwing the football.
Hey,
They're throwing the
that's
football.
They
sometimes
are.
that's what you got. Well, I was saying that guy gonna get benched if he doesn't start doing
Yep.
something.
and bet it was
well,
not Ames, Iowa. I did not live in Ames. I lived in a tiny town 20 minutes from Ames. It was called Madrid. It's spelled like Madrid, Spain, but they pronounce it Madrid.
Sort of like New Berlin, Wisconsin instead of Berlin.
Yeah.
Full house backfield for Wisconsin.
Oh!
And right into the end zone. So we have to change that score graphic.
Hot knife through butter. Look at that.
Ches Mazzulli.
Ches Mazzulli. Okay.
Yep.
That's a name.
It's Malusi, I think.
Malusi, yeah.
Malusi. Okay.
I've been awake for too long. My eyes are getting boggled.
Well, I mean, I took a nap about 2 hours ago. Took a good 90-minute power nap.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of those.
Luca.
No, bet I do not have a Bart Starr jersey, but I do have plenty of cards, football cards of Starr. I do have his autograph.
Nice. Now, I actually have the Bart Starr jersey. Not the Bama, the Green Bay Packers, of course. And we actually, when we did another one of our vlog adventures, we found where he played his first game as a Packer, which was not Lambeau Field, but the old City Stadium in Green Bay.
All right.
It's now a high school stadium. It was a high school stadium. And it's part of the Packers Heritage Trail.
Yeah, update on the NBA. Luka finishes 60-point triple-double on the night.
Woo!
Yeah.
Rough. Crazy.
And that's the first 60-20-10 game in NBA history.
That's bonkers.
According to Bleacher Report.
Bonkers.
And the Mavs take down the Knicks in overtime. Embiid had 48 for the Sixers earlier. And they lost to the Wizards.
Talking basketball, it was kind of sad. Last week, Alabama was actually ranked higher in basketball than we were in football. That hadn't happened in a long time. We got a basketball team now. We've actually beat 2 number 1 teams this year. So I mean,
that's bonkers. And speaking of Warren Moon jerseys, we're going to pull out an old pick here. That was our combo Halloween costume for you.
Nice.
I borrowed a buddy's Warren Moon jersey, and we did the cow jumped over the moon.
There you go.
Yeah, so Happy Odak says, I went to school at that high school where Old City Stadium is, and I got to play on that field. You might be wondering what position I played, trumpet in the marching band.
Nice.
We were all wondering that, and I'm glad you answered it.
Hey, the band geeks are awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome people.
Absolutely.
Good people.
Cowabunga.
You know, it kind of broke my heart when the Oilers left Houston and went to Tennessee. I hated that, you know.
How about when the Colts left Baltimore?
Oh,
yeah,
that was absolutely. I mean, my mom will not support the Ravens because
and everybody gets on me. Well, why don't you support the Titans? And I kind of root for the Titans now because Derrick Henry, you know. But I couldn't root. You know, they left. I couldn't root for them. You know, it's.
I mean, we can get into the sports business world, and I've got like research and my time covering pro sports back in Wisconsin and the sports business world, just how ridiculous it is. That's one of the advantages of college sports. Your team's never going to move.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Your franchise, quote unquote, is never moving.
Now there are some in
technically,
Ohio.
that's not true. Because Alabama moved from Birmingham to Tuscaloosa. Because most of our big games used to be played in Birmingham. A lot of people don't know that, but we did. And that's why you now see UAB.
Yep.
That used to be Alabama, and we split it off where UAB is now. That's our medical school. And it kind of went away from us. We broke it down to 2 schools. But, yeah, you're right. You're not going to leave your town.
Yeah. Yeah, the Crimson Tide are not looking for a stadium deal where they may move to Milwaukee.
Right.
Now, there was some discussion of Ohio State saying, we'd like to play our playoff game in a dome instead of the shoe. But this year, I think that they backtracked on that. Oh, we'll play a playoff game at our stadium because they took enough crap for saying that they'd rather play in a dome that I think that they decided to backtrack. But so there might be some who wish that they go to California or somewhere else.
They're almost a dome team, though, Ohio State, with the style of football they play.
Yeah.
They really are.
Finesse. It's a finesse team now.
Yeah.
I will say, though, speaking of kind of playoff games and all that, I did see someone, it might have been you once, Steve John. I don't remember saying, imagine these games, like when it was freezing in Wisconsin, imagine those games in Camp Randall on Christmas weekend.
Beautiful.
Think about that.
I
saw someone in Mark Rogers' chat saying that. It's true.
Oh, just beautiful.
Those, when it feels like minus 30 in Wisconsin, and they're playing out there.
Yeah.
That'd be such a home field advantage.
It would be.
But don't be surprised when Alabama goes on the road to Michigan or Wisconsin in the middle of winter and we bring our nice tents with heaters and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, you're going to bring it all.
We're not going to sit on the sidelines like you guys and that. We're going to.
Saban brought air conditioners because they knew that the Texas locker room didn't have air conditioners, which I thought that was a pretty baller move, actually.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool.
And
you're not going to have AC? Well, we're going to bring it.
Yeah, we'll bring our own AC. You won't.
And Saban will just take one of his mansions and just wheel it. He'll just He's got like 18 mansions or something.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the beauty of the 5, 12 through 8 and 9 first round matchups that are going to happen either Christmas weekend or the weekend before. You're going to get like an Alabama or an LSU, if Bama has a down year, going up to Madison to play in Camp Randall if Wisconsin wins the Big Ten title or makes the Big Ten championship game and goes 11-1. You're going to have those type of ridiculous intersectional games in what could be very unusual weather, snow games to decide who makes a New Year's Day bowl. Snow games.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
I can't wait to see these teams be forced to play in northern weather. It's going to be great.
By the way, 5:23 left in the second quarter, Wisconsin up 10-7.
Yeah, our favorite Georgia Tech.
By the way, Wisconsin's winning.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are. And our favorite Georgia Tech / Florida State fan, CJ, is here.
Wait a minute. Could you repeat that? Did you say Georgia Tech / Florida State fan?
He likes them both.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a combination.
Wow. Yeah. Well, maybe bachelors for one, masters for the other. Or I'm sure there's a reason.
And Cody says, can't wait for the 12-team playoff. And Bet says, I would go to a playoff game at Bryant Denny in a heartbeat. Yeah, I would love.
I would too.
I would love to go to a playoff game at Camp Randall, but even when Bama goes to Camp Randall, that will be fun. And when Notre Dame comes up to Lambeau, and what is that? 2028 Notre Dame's going up to Lambeau.
I'll have to look it up.
I
That's
think
gonna
sounds right.
insane. Yeah. CJ, that's what happens when you have 3 coaches in one season.
Yeah, didn't the safety say your safety said that? It was quoted as saying, Yeah, it's been a kind of a weird year. We've had 3 head coaches, but we're just rolling with it.
Yeah, well, I actually have the quote here. It's our 3rd head coach of the year, he said. I don't know how many times that's happened in college football. You just got to roll with it. That's just how the season has been so far. And that's from John Torchio, the senior safety.
Yeah.
From
2026, by the way, for Wisconsin Notre Dame.
Yeah, because has an incoming coach ever went to the? I mean, they've went to the bowl game, but have they ever been on the side with headgear? You know, I don't think that's ever happened before, honestly. Because
Tim Beck kind of was in that little. Do you see Tim Beck was out there in Coastal Carolina? But that was more like a. I feel like Fickell's actually kind of coaching, whereas Beck was just kind of like standing there like a lump, you know. What he literally said, I don't know what to do really right now, so I'm just kind of here. And he said something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, but Fickell is coaching. You could tell. There's a difference on how, like, when you're doing that. Now, I don't think he's do I think he came up with the whole game plan, everything else, personnel groupings and all that? No, I don't. Do I think that he's contributed a few key? Hey, just something I'm going to throw out here. There's this thing called a fake punt, and it's pretty great. And we ran it in Cincy, and you know there may be a few of those little things sprinkled in, where it's like an exchange of ideas, kind of.
Now, you know, you talk about the new coach coming in, and I'm sure a lot of teams do this, but signing day this year.
Yep.
Alabama had 10 of those signees on campus. They went to practice that day.
Yep.
So they're not only early enrollees in January, they were able to go to the bowl practices, you know, and that's huge when you can get players on your campus in the middle of December and you're prepping for bowl and these guys, you know, get a chance to participate.
It is that immediate.
I do
immediate now.
touch on something with Coach Fickell, and we have someone that knows a thing or two about Coach Fickell. It's C&J, our Cincinnati fan here. And I just wanted to touch though. Did anyone else know? Because I didn't until I was doing some research. That Fickell was the interim head coach at Ohio State. He went 6-7.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he did.
I did not know that. I was researching his coaching career, and
that was after Tressel, right? Tressel,
yes.
And then he got the job, and then Urban Meyer came available, so they got rid of Fickell and gave it to Meyer. And
well, I think Fickell was always supposed to be a stopgap. I don't think they intended to, unless he had a 12-0 season. He was there to bridge the gap.
I hate to interrupt, but
their national.
Chase Wolf just actually sidestepped a pass rusher in the pocket and threw a dart. I don't believe this.
And that was kind of a sidearm pass. That wasn't even that was a sidearm.
That's showing some skills.
Yeah.
I don't believe this.
Well, he is a senior.
2 for 2.
You'd hope he'd learn something.
Boom. Boom. They're on pace to make the 17-7. Yeah.
You know, he is a senior, but I'm betting he has a COVID year.
Yeah.
So if he does well here, and let's say he this could be the difference between starting at a program and riding a bench at a program.
Exactly. They're at the 35-yard line, 2nd and 4.
Great opportunity.
Yeah, he's getting the zone. He's starting to get in the zone. And yes, L33 Bell, he's throwing the sidearm throws like Doug Flutie way back in the day, Boston College.
You know what, though? I kind of feel sorry for a quarterback like him because the transfer portal is killing a lot of players who sat behind players and think they're going to have a chance, and it's supposed to be their time, and all of a sudden, hey, this great player from Alabama decided to transfer, Georgia, and I think that's hurting some of the players who, sit and patiently wait their time. They don't get it now because of the transfer portal.
Yeah.
It's
Good.
it's just another one of the unfortunate realities of the business that college football has become.
Yeah.
You lose that loyalty.
Yeah, there's still some in some areas. Obviously, you have the Iowa situation where there might be a little too much loyalty.
Yeah.
At this point, keeping an offensive coordinator who has basically been a joke, and it looks like they're going to keep him unless there's something changes in the next couple weeks.
Timeout called. 1:24 left in the first half.
Well, I think one thing with Brian is I think they're waiting till the NFL season is over because, their coaching carousel doesn't start.
That's true.
Until the season is over, and that's when you'll see the moving around.
Yeah. I hope Chris gets a job somewhere. I hope he gets either a head coaching gig or an OC gig. I think like if it were me, I would have given him one more year. Like
right.
he ended last year. What was it? 8-4 in the regular season. That's not terrible.
That's why I've heard a lot of discussion about, or at least some discussion about Chris going to WVU.
That would be interesting.
I don't see it happening.
And I've gone on Golden Blue Dude because I've seen enough people in that chat saying, yeah, we should hire him. And I've gone on there and I've explained exactly why they shouldn't.
I think Jim Leonard's more of a potential pick than Chris.
Yeah, Jim Leonard. Chris should go. I think Chris will go somewhere, though.
Without a doubt.
He'll get a job.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And maybe
Alabama's
you take the season off.
Alabama's
action! Touchdown, Wisconsin!
Now let's roll the tape. Let's see that. Let's see what, because I missed that. Let's roll the tape.
Wow, he was wide open.
15 yards.
It's the old
little somersault. Okay, here we go.
I mean, the key pass is like the best play.
This is they keep going to this, and my guess is that he's been making a lot of these in practice, because they keep going to it. It's like at Michigan, they do these design rollouts for Alan Bowman, and they just keep going to it over and over every time he's in. And he's not in very often, but when it's like garbage duty or whatever. So that might just be what they know in practice he can hit these, and so they're going to it, which is smart.
CJ, we were just discussing Golden Corral at work today, by the way. Since no one ever goes to buffets anymore, that just was a discussion point today about just randomly. But I love the key pass play, John, because it is such a staple of the West Coast offense. It is such a safe, high percentage pass play that it works perfectly, especially in the college game when you've got quarterbacks who maybe need more confidence when they're in game situations like this. It's the perfect play call.
Yep.
Yeah, good play action rollout. Maybe you use your tight ends in that situation. I think Iowa's going to do that all day, every day next year. Play action rollout to the tight end, Cade McNamara to Eric all day.
What's cool here is Wisconsin scored. So with 44 seconds left, they hold Oklahoma State. They get the ball to start the second half. They go down and score. They can put the game away on the first drive in the second half.
And now my prediction's looking a little better.
Yeah.
And it's because Jeff Saturday is not coaching Oklahoma or Wisconsin. I mean, just
what a joke.
Man.
How is Alabama playing Kansas in the Sugar Bowl at noon?
The
Sugar Bowl is supposed to play at 7. That's just Yeah, that's
scheduling
just
decisions.
terrible. A noon game, you know.
Way back in the day, I think wasn't it in like the 70s and early 80s, the Sugar Bowl was a noon kickoff?
Yeah, way
I
back
want
in the
to-
70s, it was.
And then they pivoted it to make it prime time to go up against the Orange Bowl.
Yep.
But it's
Yeah, because it
all
went Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, and then Orange Bowl for the longest time. And then, like you said, and then in 71, they brought in the Fiesta Bowl, which wasn't that big for about the mid 80s is when the Fiesta Bowl really started to take a shine.
Yeah, the Sugar Bowl is time slot because they're playing it December 31st, and they already have all those minor major bowls set up for that noon 1 o'clock Eastern time slot on January 2nd, and nobody's going up against the NFL.
Right.
Excellent defensive play there.
Yes.
Forcing Oklahoma to a 3rd and 21.
3rd and forever.
What if Wisconsin can get the ball back and even kick a field goal before half?
Oh my God, wouldn't that be something? No, they're going to nail it.
Pretty soon.
They're going to nail it if they get it back.
And look at the time of possession. 23 minutes and a half.
That's Big Ten football. That is Big Ten football right there.
Like you said, kid, this game is ground and pound for Wisconsin, except they're pinging it now this past drive through the air and getting it done.
Yeah. So we talked about Chase Wolf, but the guy who was the quarterback at Wisconsin before, Graham Mertz, going to Florida. What do we think about that?
Good luck.
Like, who is Florida's quarterback going to be? Because I don't know if they have anyone else lined up.
Go reincarnate Tim Tebow and
yeah.
Yeah, he should have a COVID year left, don't he?
Right.
He's got COVID.
I promise you, Bet, Anthony did not bring the volcano to Charleston, West Virginia. It's a running gag that we've had on this channel.
Joke because Bet keeps asking me if I finished my volcano for science. But I don't have a chemistry test tomorrow. I'm on break.
Kid, you're going to be real happy when college comes around, and your break is going to be a month, not a week.
Oh, yeah.
Which also brings up a question when we get to the 12-team playoff. When is that set of first-round games happening? And is it happening during final exams or during a time when the students are already gone?
Well, and here's the question nobody talked about. Okay, we got the conference championship is the first Saturday in December.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to make this work, you almost have to start practice that week to get ready for the first round of the playoffs. Yeah. But here's a major problem. You now have signing day 10 days after the conference championship. So how are you going to be getting your team ready for a playoff game if you still got to meet these recruits and get ready for signing day? There's a lot going on, you know, the first week and a half in December. What are these coaches going to do?
These coaches are going to take these recruits on signing day and be like, hey, you know something? You're seeing the team that's in playoff.
Yeah.
Come join us. You're going to be in some of those.
So Sports Illustrated says that the first round will be played either the second or third weekend of December, with at least 12 days between conference championship and first round of playoff. So somewhere in that kind of third.
Okay, so that'd be the third week.
Yep.
But that's usually the week that you got the signing day, you know, on Wednesday. So
right.
Something's got to give. You can't have a signing day if Alabama's going to Michigan that week. How is Saban staying in, or how's Harbaugh staying in Ann Arbor if he's got to go on the road and play in Georgia or somewhere?
It's tough.
Yeah.
You're going to have to, it's personnel decisions and allocation of resources is going to need to happen.
I'm going to give my thoughts on that. We want to make sure everyone goes to check out Ty Guy's channel and John D'Adamo's channel on YouTube. Check out these channels and sign up with them, subscribe to them. Definitely check them out. I think that what you're talking about, guys, is the greatest possible problem a coach could ever have. I would love to deal with that problem. Mm-hmm. And when you consider, I'm going way, way back with this conversation, way back with this example. Guys, remember Marcus Dupree from Oklahoma?
Oh, yeah. Marcus Dupree.
There was an ESPN 30 for 30 about his career where Barry Switzer was recruiting him. And I think it was like the Oklahoma-Texas game or something like that. And they were just boat racing Texas. They had like a 3-touchdown lead on him. And Switzer's entire halftime was spent calling Marcus Dupree on a payphone, being like, hey, see what we just did? Come join us. And that was one of the things that made him make up his mind to go to Oklahoma. They are thinking recruiting every single possible second that they possibly can. They'll figure out a way. I mean, I remember the story of, I think it was Michael Irvin who talked about it with the University of Miami. They would set up like an official group recruiting visit on a day where the current Hurricanes would be practicing on the Orange Bowl field. And at the very same time, the recruits are showing up in the stands of the Orange Bowl, and all the Miami NFL alumni are showing up on the field.
Yeah.
They'll figure out a way. They'll figure out a way. But I see what you're talking about with the problem. Makes perfect sense.
Because like you said, winning this year means everything. But if you don't got the recruits for next year, because let's face it, coaching is cutthroat now. You have 1 or 2 bad years. It ain't like the old days where, coaches was given, 4 or 5 years to build a program. And if you won, you're good for a while. You look at what LSU has done. You look at what Auburn has done. You win a national champion. 2 years later, you have 2 bad years, you're gone, and it never used to be like that. If you won a championship, you were good for that school for at least 5 or 6 years, no matter what you did almost.
I mean, there are some universities where you still have that. Like say Luke Fickell wins the national title in 2 years at Wisconsin. As long as he keeps that team above 500, he's got that job as long as he wants it.
Sure.
But at your favorite teams, at your beloved universities, you think that's real? No.
No.
What have you done for me lately?
But I think that's a lot of problems a lot of colleges have is what is your team? What realistically is your team? Michigan, you should be playing for a national championship every 4 or 5 years at least. You should be, but at Iowa, that's not realistic, And
Big Ten West is Iowa's, I feel like they're
right. Yeah, and a lot of schools like Auburn has Alabama complex. They want to be Alabama, but you realistically need to know what your team's ceiling is and what your expectations are. I tell everybody the greatest job in college football to have is the Iowa Hawkeyes. Because as long as you go to a bowl game, the Hawkeye fans are happy. They're not expecting national championship. They'd like to win the Big Ten once or twice every 10 years, if they could. But, the pressure's not there. And I think, that's where a lot of teams aren't. You need to know what your ceiling is and what your expectations really should be.
Like what CJ is discussing with Virginia Tech, what he says is impatience, waiting for results, demanding 10 wins a year. And is that realistic for Virginia Tech anymore? Frank Beamer's no longer the coach there.
Yeah. I mean, look at Florida State when Bowden left. Fisher had a few good years there, but look at how Fisher left Florida State. That's a dumpster fire. It's hard. Look at Alabama when Bear Bryant retired. Look what we went through. And then we had Stallings and it was good. And then when he left, and I hate to say it, when Saban leaves, Alabama should be good for 2 years if they don't all hit the transfer portal immediately, because their talent will be there. But it's hard to follow a legend. Look at Michigan when, luckily when Schembechler left, you had Carr. Carr was a decent coach, and a good guy.
Yeah.
When Carr left, what happened? You lose.
Well, then it went off. Then it went off a cliff for 10 years.
Yeah. And that happens. You lose a great coach, and that's Virginia Tech's problem. They lost the best coach they ever had, and
CJ describes it right there.
Yeah.
And then you have more universities demanding 10 plus wins a year from the fan base or by the fan base than you have universities that can win 10 plus games a year. It's just the reality of the sport. You're not going to get all the time.
Well, and you stop and think 20 years ago, how many undefeated teams were there? And how many 10 win, you play in the SEC or you play in the Big Ten. Take the Big Ten. You guys are playing 9 conference games. Well, how many teams can realistically win 10 games? It's not that easy to do when you're playing, 9 conference games, 3 out of conference. Yeah, you win the 3 out of conference. That means you have to go 7-2 in the Big Ten to win 10 games. And if you're in the Big Ten East, that's a lot harder to do than if you're in the Big Ten West.
Exactly.
Accurate.
What happens if you're in the West and all of a sudden your schedule that year, you have to play Ohio State and Michigan? If that's your crossover that year, it's hard to get to 10 in.
We seem to be having some extra voices coming in. I think I'm not sure if you're hearing that yet. I apologize for some of the. Okay, but to get to some of these points, C&J saying it. University of Cincinnati, they're making a conference change very soon. Can you expect them to be in the 9-10 win category every single year when you're a stepping stone university, as C&J describes, like Brian Kelly, another great example. And then CJ saying Auburn and Gus Malzahn, year 1, national title game, squat. There are so few programs where the program is already made. Doesn't matter who the coach is.
Right.
Where, even the bluest of blue bloods, Notre Dame and Alabama, are still defined by how good the coach is.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are no coach-proof programs in college football anymore.
And it literally shocks me. And in some ways, it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit to say Nick Saban is the greatest of all times, because I had the luxury of watching Bear Bryant. I was a little kid, but I got to see Bear Bryant. And, a funny little story is, I'm an old guy, so I was grown up, boys don't cry.
Right.
The only time in my life I was able to cry was the day Bear Bryant died.
I believe it.
My dad let me cry that day. That was a sad day in our family, and I never imagined ever seeing another coach win 6 championships at Alabama and doing half the stuff Bear Bryant did. And here comes Saban, and But it's hard to think of, what's the next coach going to be? It's going to be hard. And you look at even like Texas, a lot of these schools, Texas is still a Darrell Royal. Everybody thinks of Darrell Royal, or they think of Mac because Mac won.
Yep.
In Oklahoma, you think of Switzer, Nebraska. Devine was their first coach, and then Osborne. And after that, you're defined by your great coaches.
Exactly. And those are not a dime a dozen. They just simply aren't. There are too many programs who are going to scoop up those great coaches.
Yeah.
And to expect your team to win 10 plus games every year, good luck. I think that's, for example, where Wisconsin has run so much into that ceiling that they've constantly slammed themselves into. Again, we've discussed this before, because they've played berry ball too much and not been willing to open up the offense enough, which now they finally can with Luke Fickell. But what's a realistic expectation for Wisconsin? I think it's reasonable to say, okay, they're going to win a Big Ten championship once every few years. They're going to get into a playoff here and there, and they're going to contend every year. They're going to give Ohio State and Michigan a run for their money and try and bump into that top 2 and make it a top 3 in the Big Ten. I think that's realistic.
I agree.
Well, I think Wisconsin's going to be in the playoff every year with the 12-team playoff.
Teams, because they would have gotten in how many years out of the last? I was thinking about that. They've been 8 or 9 or 10 wins.
Yep.
Pretty frequently the last 10, 12 years. So think about the how many times they would have gotten in the playoff. Well, probably a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand this off to the kid just for a second while I get myself rehydrated, because I know we're getting close to in fact, past midnight now, and you've stayed up a long time, kid. I'm not expecting you to make it the rest of the game.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I took a good nap, so we'll find out. And I don't have anywhere to be tomorrow until 11, so I can sleep.
Okay. So
Well, and I think another problem, like John will admit, Alabama and Michigan and Ohio State and USC and, Alabama, right now we have 19 players in the transfer portal. These coaches are not going to be able to stockpile all those 5 stars on the bench to sit around for 3 or 4 years now that NIL is out there. Yep. And now that, 12 teams make the playoffs, well, hey, I can go to this team and they'll make the playoffs and this and that, So I think it's going to be a lot harder for coaches, in the next 3 or 4 years with everything going on, to sustain 10 wins every year is going to be difficult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Wisconsin has a good future. I think that we're going to be contending every year. I think you can expect home games maybe once every 2 years at Camp Randall, and then maybe every once in a while they break through into the top 4. As CJ says, birthday Thursday. Well, happy early birthday. And Mikey, one of my friends in Philly, says hello. Good to know that you're off TikTok and now watching Sorgy Stories, Mikey. As actually the TikTok halftime report just ended on ESPN. So we will probably be getting back to the game here in a few minutes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You're growing up in a good time for Wisconsin. I mean, because like I said, I'm an old guy. I remember, before Barry Switz, I remember Barry Alvarez was on Hayden Fry's staff at the University of Iowa. When Wisconsin couldn't win a game, and he went to Wisconsin and really built a program. And then the game kind of evolved. It's not the running game that, Alvarez had, so, you bring Fickell in now, but it's exciting at Camp Randall. And like I said, I went to a Wisconsin game, but the last Wisconsin game I went to was an Iowa Wisconsin. It was back in the early 90s before, the stadium is what it is today, and the fans they didn't do the jump around back then. They didn't have, all the atmosphere that you guys have today. So you're actually fortunate that you're growing up in a time where, Wisconsin is a really great team.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. The last Wisconsin game, well, Pops. Okay.
Oh, his mic's not working.
Now it is.
There you go.
Now it is.
I have a question, Pops.
Okay.
When was the last Wisconsin game that I was at Camp Randall?
I believe, but I'm just going to check and confirm it based on my photo albums on my Facebook account. But I believe it was 2012.
Okay. The last Wisconsin game we were at was at Rutgers last season.
Yep.
When we won 53 to...
Like 52 to 3 or something like that.
I think it's 50. Wasn't it like 53 to... Was it 52 to 3? I think it was.
52 to 3. In fact, I'm going to confirm it right now because I'm looking at the vid.
Yeah.
So I'll have that answer for you momentarily.
Yeah. So
you're really fortunate that you're growing up at a great time for Wisconsin football, with what they've done and
just incredible.
I always liked Barry Alvarez. I always liked Bill Snyder, because those guys came from Hayden Fry from Iowa. And, I always watched Iowa because of my friends when Alabama wasn't playing in that. And it's amazing what he built up in Wisconsin, because for the longest time, Wisconsin really did not have a good team at all,
Well, and I think that Fickell's in a great position to, this is a guy, the only coach to bring a G5 team into the playoffs. Now, granted, when they got there, Bama beat them pretty handily, as you would expect to happen. But the point is, they were there, and he's the only coach to ever do it.
Well, and honestly, though, did Cincinnati lose much worse than some of the other teams Alabama's beat in the first round?
Nope.
You know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
You can say we beat the brakes off them, but usually in the first round, that's what Alabama does. And that's even Georgia. And, a lot of the first round games are just lopsided.
The way the playoff is going to be, you're not going to see, I think, as many lopsided games between 5-12, 6-11, 7-10, and 8-9.
Well, and
we're going to have great competition.
When you stepped out, I made the comment that, it's going to be a lot harder for teams. Like Alabama this year, we have 19 teams in the portal. We're not keeping the 5 stars on the bench with NIL, and now you got extra playoffs. Kids aren't going to sit on the bench for 2 or 3 or 4 years to get the chance to play, So you're going to see a lot more parity. You're going to see a lot less of, like this year, you don't have the 2 dominant teams where, we thought in the beginning of the year it was going to be Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama. And, but that isn't really kind of how it played on. They wasn't as dominant as we thought, and when we get to the 12-team playoff, I think you're going to see a lot less of that.
It won't be as nuts as the 68-team college basketball tournament in terms of the amount of upsets that you're going to see in teams that come out of the blue and have no business being in the tournament, beating powerhouses. But there's going to be some situations when you're going to see some 9 through 12 seeds making the Final Four.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be wild and fun.
But the thing I'm worried about with this 12-team playoff, and the problem I have with it is the decision making. And then it's not 1, 2, 3. That don't bother me. It's the decision between the 4th team and the 5th team. Because you look at the big difference. The 4th team gets a bye. Yeah, the 5th team gets a home field, but that's huge.
Yep.
You got to play another game. You take chance of injuries. You take chance of second half targeting where you lose a player for the first half of the next game.
Right.
And so that's my question is, what are the criteria? What happens when you have an undefeated Big 12 team and an undefeated ACC or Pac-12 team? Who's going to be 4? Who's going to be 5th? What is the real criteria? Because like now in this playoffs, you have the 12-team committee, and they tell you this is but you really don't know behind closed doors what's going on. And you look at how important the difference is between the 4th seed and the 5th seed.
Well, isn't conference championship a factor? So I think for the top 4, you have to be your conference champion to get the bye, right?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, what happens if all 5 of the Power 5 conferences go undefeated, the champion? You know what I mean? So how do you decide between the Big 12 13-0 and a Pac-12 13-0, or you know what I mean?
You'll see that once every probably 6 or 7 years, or maybe more than that, maybe 8 or 9 years. But it will happen, and it will be an issue in that situation.
And that's what I'm looking for. What are they going to do in that situation?
It kind of throws my proposal and theory into a bit of a flux. And forgive me if you've heard this before, Tide Guy, but when I suggested with a 12-team playoff, if every conference gets rid of divisions, any team, and if you have this happen with 5 Power 5 champions, you deal with it and they grab the first 5 seeds. But any team that wins the double in your conference, meaning wins the regular season championship and the conference championship game, in order for there to be some sort of an incentive to win the conference championship game as well as the regular season, is to give them one of those top 4 seeds.
Right.
Which means typically the best teams from those conferences are going to get that anyway. But you might then get situations where a team that has 2 losses leapfrogs a team with 1 to get into the top 4. And I think it's a fun way, and I think, to me, a worthy way to help make the regular season more important, make the conference championship games more important simultaneously. But it really does put some weird situations in there where, say, Alabama, maybe they don't win the SEC that particular year, and they just have 1 loss, but it's enough to keep them out of the conference championship game. And Wisconsin wins the Big Ten double with 2 losses, and they're a better seed than Alabama.
Right.
That could be. You could have some crazy situations with that.
Now, this is my opinion, and I don't think you're going to see a 12-team playoff for very long.
Okay.
I really don't. I think because you look at the money, the different money from a 4-team to a 12-team. They already know the money from a 12-team to a 16-team. And I don't think it'll be very long that they're going to say, you know what, we're going to move to 16 because of the money. Because unfortunately, college football is no longer about college football. It's about the money.
Yeah.
And I really, truly don't think the 12-team is going to be around as long as this playoff. I think within 4 to 5 years after the 12-team starts, I think you're going to see a 16-team. They're going to try to keep getting as many teams into the playoff because they're going to say the bowl games don't matter as much. So we're going to put teams in the playoff,
right,
and just get more and more money.
Yeah. The other question is like how will opt-outs be impacted? Because you may actually see people, Well, JSN is an example of somebody opting out of the playoff. Probably one of the first that I've seen opt out for the playoff. But what about these kind of first round games where it's like Ohio State versus Tulane was one of the matchups for a bit? I could see some of the players sitting out in that first round.
Now, am I crazy? But if I owned an NFL team, I don't want a team. I don't want a player who quit on his team and not going to play in the playoff. Sorry, I don't. Because to me, you're a quitter. And if you're going to quit on that team, guess what? You're going to quit on my team.
Mm-hmm.
Bear Bryant always said the first time you quit is hard. The second time you quit is easier. And by the third time, you don't even realize you're doing it.
Exactly.
So if you're going to quit on Ohio State, what's going to say that, you know what, it's a contract year and I don't feel so well, I'm not going to play in the playoffs?
Okay, to the Wisconsin receiver who just attempted to go OBJ, don't try and catch footballs with one hand.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Now, yes, there is DPI, so they're getting the first down out of it. But yeah. By the way, we got a lot of questions, a lot of comments. We're going to go down through these.
Oh, sweet.
Guess who's hopping in here? It's Magic Man.
Don Mikowski.
Magic Man.
The guy Uneducated Sports Talks chat who said that you were a legend, Pop.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And the voice of the Packers. So yeah.
Back when I was with Packers Radio Network.
Now here's a question for you guys. If Woody Hayes was alive today, would he upgrade his saying? Because he used to say when you throw the ball, only 3 things could happen and 2 of them are bad. Would he say now 4 things could happen and 2 are good and 2 are bad because of the pass interference?
You know what? I don't know if he can say that.
Could happen.
But the moment he saw the way that the passing game has become a doctorate level science, he might even be convinced.
Yeah.
Because he sees Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers do what they're doing. Granted, it's a leap all the way to that level and a giant leap from college, but they're learning some of that stuff that these legends are using. And it's no longer these horrible outcomes that can happen in the passing game.
No.
Did we
I
get
was
to
remember Woody Hayes? 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad. He was not a passing coach.
Right. But now the quarterbacks can get 70% of doing the good thing.
Yeah.
It's not as much of a worry.
Now, this is an interesting scenario here. We've got 3rd and 16. I think you got to get it at least enough to get a decent field goal going. You can't do that.
No,
that is what you can't do.
One thing you couldn't do.
Carolina in a sack. Yeah, because we have a game going on that we need to be discussing here. Besides all this college football talk.
Well,
have we? Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think I'm gonna head out, and I'm probably just gonna be in the chat for a little bit before I head to bed.
You have turned into a pumpkin.
Pops, I just texted you. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll look that up.
I will see y'all later. Have a good night. And
hey, Anthony, nice seeing you, man.
Anthony, it's always good to hang with you.
All right.
I will talk to you if I don't actually talk with you, which I don't think I'm going to be able to do because you're going to be asleep by the time this is done. Have a great night. Love you, kid. Happy slumbers. So, yeah. Let's see.
I love how Anthony loves sports. I love to see that because I remember being his age and how passionate I was with sports, and it's great to see kids, take up sports like that because a lot of kids they're into their phones. That's all they care about is their phones and that, and it's great to see, kids like Anthony, watching football and, can talk baseball and, have the passion, and that's awesome.
Yeah. It's a part of having dad work in pro sports and college sports media, but it's also just as much my wife is mommy's fault because she would always have the Brewers game on when he was really, really little. And
that'll do it.
Every single night during the season, he was exposed to a Brewers game. He learned his geography, his math, his social studies through sports.
Yeah.
He learned all that stuff. I did too. I'm sure you guys did. I mean, just think about how many states you knew compared to the rest of your classmates in grade school because you watch college football.
Yep.
I mean, like in fourth grade, for example, guys, how many states do you think you could name?
I could name all the states that had a pro team. Basically, if they had a pro team, I could tell you, or, like Alabama, I could tell you Alabama because of college. But yeah, I mean, it was all about sports.
Right. I mean,
I was talking this the other day. I cannot name you the starting lineup for any baseball team this year.
Ditto.
But when I was 9, 10 years old, I could name every starting lineup for every team, and I had all their cards, so I could tell you their batting average from last year and how many home runs, and
I mean, John, you probably could have had similar.
Yeah. It's I'm trying to remember how many states I knew at that age. Probably, I mean, there was that song that we sang in school about the 50 states, so I think I probably could have gotten them all, but maybe could have missed one or two.
All right, guys, we're gonna shoot through some of these comments. C and J talking about being worried about not being as competitive as the Cincinnati Bearcats as they would need to be. I think it goes back again to the discussion of who's the coach. The coach makes the program. What's that going to look like?
Now, I know Fickell moved them up quite a bit, but Cincinnati, to me, has had some great coach. I mean, they had Tommy Tuberville. I hated him because he's Auburn, but I mean, he was a good coach, and I mean, they've had coaches at Cincinnati who's, had good years. And I don't think out of the 4 teams going to the Big 12, I think Cincinnati is probably the most ready of all of them.
Yeah,
I really do. I mean, because you look at how BYU played this year, and they just didn't look like they had the talent.
Yeah, Brian Kelly, Mark D'Antonio.
Boom.
Yeah,
they become the Miami of Ohio coaches' cradle.
Yeah,
of modern day times. So as long as they can keep catching lightning in a bottle with who they get, they've got a shot. CJ, without Oklahoma and Texas, teams can still succeed and win conference championships in that lessened league that the Big 12 is going to be.
Yeah, I think you kind of worry a little bit about Kansas because Kansas is coming on. I mean, Kansas is a good team. TCU, they got their coach now. And don't forget Baylor. I mean, Dave Aranda is going to have that team back next year. But I think Cincinnati is set up where I think Cincinnati can compete. I think they'll finish in at least the top half when they get there.
All good arguments. CJ, UCLA, USC making a huge mistake going to the Big Ten. Not revenue-wise.
No.
Not recruiting-wise. They're going to get
let me say something.
They're going to make that bank.
CJ, you guys made the mistake in 1963 when you left the SEC. You guys would kill to come back to the SEC today. Not because of a competitive, but because of the paycheck.
Let alone the fact that probably CJ and my combined ages are barely above 1963 to today.
Well, I'm 1970, but I still remember, I remember the story.
You know the history.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that conference shifts have been happening. Yeah, there was that time between then and 1990, whatever it was.
92.
Penn State began the latest set of shifts with move to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But there have been conference shifts forever.
Yeah.
I mean, John,
we're going to get Notre Dame. We're going to get Notre Dame in there soon. We'll get them to join.
I don't think you will. I really don't. The hatred that Notre Dame and Michigan has, I don't know that. The only way you're going to force Notre Dame is if you go to Notre Dame and say, look, you'll never make a playoff. They don't mind not getting a home. They don't mind missing the bye. But if you tell them, because Notre Dame, they get to schedule who they want to schedule. And that's a huge advantage.
But the thing is, it's not as much of an advantage anymore in terms of overall program revenue. The Big Ten teams are going to be making more per year than Notre Dame is.
But the thing is, Notre Dame don't care, because they get all the donations and the boosters and this and that.
The NBC deal.
Yeah, the NBC.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get
I
it.
think
their ego is bigger than their wallet. That
True.
ego that Notre Dame has.
They do
huge.
have that.
They do have that.
I think eventually they'll get it. They'll get in though.
If the playoff was still small enough where you made a rule that you could only make it if you are a conference champion,
yeah,
they'd go in a heartbeat. But now, that's jumped the shark.
Right.
But see, and you got the SEC working against the Big Ten because Sankey is with Notre Dame saying, hey, you can stay independent and we'll keep voting with you, because we don't want Notre Dame in the Big Ten. Because that's more money to the Big Ten, less money, So, and I laugh at people because I hear this sometimes. Well, Notre Dame will go to the SEC. They're not coming to us rednecks. It's not happening. That college, that academy, academics mean way too much for Notre Dame to come down to Alabama, come down to Mississippi. It's not happening, people. They will go to
Big
the
Ten or ACC.
Yeah, that's an interconference game for Notre Dame. If they ever join a conference, that becomes their interconference game.
Yeah.
Magic Man, bowls used to matter decades ago, now pointless, no history, no importance. Begging to see the Kohler Toilet Bowl between two teams that didn't win a game all year.
Hey, there you go.
Why not? And you know why that is? It's because the process that went from 3 major broadcast networks on your television screen, plus PBS, to now, where you're seeing millions of channels, including the very channel we're talking on right now. In between, there's that group of channels that proliferated out. We're watching the game on one of them, ESPN, because bowl games are made for TV events.
Oh, here's something you guys probably don't know. I learned this yesterday, and I put it on my Jeopardy last night, and it happened in the second round, so I don't think you had seen this, John. From the 1930s through 1960, college football had an all-star team. They, at the end of the year, come up with an all-star team.
Right.
From the 30s through the 60s, do you know how many times that all-star team beat an NFL team?
In the early years, they did more than later. I want to say 10 times.
It was 9 times.
Not
and the last time they beat the Green Bay Packers in 1962.
Oh, you're killing me.
So we're not talking about the Lions or the Packers were good in the 60s. So,
one of the I argue the best dynasty in NFL history.
Yeah. But I didn't know if you guys knew that they had a college football all-star team and they played the NFL. They actually played an NFL team. And
fun trivia. God rest his soul, Franco Harris played in the last one of them.
Yep.
And it was a game at Soldier Field where the level of rain that fell on that stadium was basically literal buckets from the sky that made it impossible to see from the press box to the field. And the game ended on account of fans turning the Soldier Field turf into a slip and slide.
Nice.
thousands of fans.
Oh boy.
What throw is that?
Yeah.
Come on, Chase Wolf.
That was the first quarter throw. that was how he hit the first quarter.
They went to the locker room, they lost the mojo.
Yeah.
But imagine a football game being called on account of so much rain, it becomes impossible to play.
Yeah.
That's what happened in that meaningless exhibition game, which Tech fans call some bowl games megs, which is now what most of these bowl games are.
Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna have more of these product-based awards where people get stuff dunked on their heads and things. Because I think Duke's Mayo Bowl opened the door for this, and so maybe for the Kohler Toilet Bowl, you have somebody getting dunking their head in there, or
Nickelodeon needs to do the game and dunk green
Nickelodeon.
slime on whoever
There you go, green
Absolutely.
scores
slime.
touchdowns.
Absolutely, they do that kind of, but it's digitally with because they do the NFL games, where they had just the other day they had Patrick Starr from SpongeBob
Ooh.
talking about Russell Wilson, and
Speaking of
that
Wisconsin
isn't
with
what he
effect.
meant to cook.
Nice interception right there.
Very
Did you guys see
Shaw.
that?
Oh, Jay Shaw.
Yes.
Now, John, I don't know if you know this or not, but SpongeBob, before he was SpongeBob, was in another TV show, and he played Dauber on Coach, which was Hayden. They called him Hayden Fox for Minnesota State. It was actually a sitcom. I don't know if you've ever seen the sitcom Coach. That was actually a really good. That was a really good sitcom.
Nice. No, never seen it, but
All right, Matt.
do you know against who and where the Chicago Bears played their first game under that name?
I am going to take a guess. It was at Milwaukee's Borchard Field against the Milwaukee Badgers, which was a 19. Actually, no, they weren't around at the time. I'm going to guess Pottsville Maroons road game. I'm probably wrong.
Oh, we're down to the 20.
7:13 left in the contest.
Dang, look at this, Wisconsin.
I know. Let's see.
That's what you like to see. Just what you needed.
Nick the Legend, by the way,
Nice.
just reminding us he is a Rams fan. And yes, a genuine Rams fan, not just bandwagon. There when the team was bad.
I'm a bandwagon. I'm enjoying Baker Mayfield just light it up. I think he deserves
nice
it.
through butter touchdown for Braylon Allen.
Woo!
Man, look at
There
that.
he is.
Wow. 24-7. You can almost run the ball the rest of the game and just milk the clock and be done with this.
We're getting close to my score prediction here.
Yeah.
So I said 32-10. So we need them to get 8 or miss. Well, yeah, get this and then get 8.
I'm surprised it's this
Probably
dominant.
Unrealistic.
I'm surprised.
They could miss the extra point and score 3 field goals and still get you there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm cool with getting close.
Oh, that's right. It was the Racine Legion.
Oh wow, that's really pulling into the memory banks, isn't it?
When are we going to see like the history of them playing like the Tuscaloosa Ironworkers?
Yeah.
I mean, or like any of these other absolutely obscure NFL teams.
October 1st, 1922.
That sounds right. when they were the Chicago Bears after being the Chicago Staleys, after being the Decatur Staleys.
Oh, interesting. Attendance was 4,000. You imagine that now? 4,000 for an NFL game.
And it probably
higher than this bowl game.
Time to get in.
Higher attendance than this bowl game, I bet.
Yeah.
No, that bad. But it again proves to you just, again, bowl games.
You know, honestly, though,
TV.
when I lived in Arizona, there was a lot of times I would go to the Fiesta Bowl and pay less than $45, $50 for a ticket.
I believe it.
Yeah, you know, because they wouldn't sell out. So, I mean, you could go to the game,
Sure.
you know, and just pick up a ticket for like $45, $50, and you're at the Fiesta Bowl.
And they'd have great matchups like Penn State USC. I mean, blue blood programs that got into a game that was second level for what they aspired to, so people wouldn't care. Toll Road joining us. Hey there.
That reminded me, we were talking about bowl games we were excited about, and we couldn't mention our team. Well, Penn State playing Utah, I think is going to be an interesting matchup. The third best team in the Big Ten playing the best team in the Pac. Well, that if the Big Ten wins, that's a big statement there, and if the Pac wins, that's also a big statement. I'm excited to see that one.
I mean, those are program-making games for teams like Utah.
But also Penn State, because Franklin has been dogged on not winning big games and lost that Rose Bowl a couple years back to Sam Darnold and USC.
You know, but Franklin is like Jimbo Fisher. They were smart enough to sign that high contract where they can't get bought out almost, you know?
Yep. He's got I always say Franklin's got he's got such good agents.
Yeah.
And
because his agent keeps throwing his name up when other jobs come, and they just, we don't want to get rid of him. And
boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Wisconsin is taking care of business 24/7. And the current, by the way, the current semi-pro team in Racine, Wisconsin, the Racine Raiders. Yes, we're a league of their own was based on in the stadium where they play. I actually know the radio play-by-play guy for the Racine Raiders.
Oh, nice.
They have been there forever. Forever. I mean, and that's something that's lost, is the community football team. For a lot of cities, it's their high school team. But like semi-pro football, that just love and just where fans love it, it's just part of the community. Will ND! Hey!
Will.
Thanks for raiding us.
We got Will in here. We got a Young Guns raid.
Will, I'm going to send you... Let's see.
I love that.
Let us know if you're in the... if you've got the chat info. If you got the StreamYard code. If not, let me know how I can get it to you. Dayton Triangles. Wow. Another one of those great 1920s NFL franchises. And then Magic Man, yes. Al Davis threatened to sue him.
Sounds about right.
Didn't Al Davis threaten to sue everybody? I mean, he loved a good threat.
Mark. We got Mark in here.
Oh, there's Mark.
College football. Hey. And look who is just coming in to the stream. Will. Thank you for popping in. How are you?
Doing good, guys. Your Badgers are looking good. They're rolling.
Yeah, they are.
They are tonight, especially when quarterbacks slip and fall like that. Like you just saw.
Oh, that screen pass is just nothing going there.
Yeah, that's something that can also be very dangerous for the middle of the male body. I'm not going to say more. So, Al Davis, Toll Road saying Al Davis sued me.
Yeah, Al Davis
sued everybody at some point.
which again proves why with college football, it's great. Your franchises can never move because they're not franchises; they're universities.
I think the only owner who tried to sue more people than him was Steinbrenner.
Amen.
I think those two are related somehow in the distance because those two both.
Will, how can people come to you? How can people find you?
Well, I've been working hard on Young Guns to get these bowl interviews in. Like, if Ty Guy and John, if you guys can come over and do that soon, that'll be awesome for the big game.
I'm ready.
Yeah. I've done 7 in the past 2 days, so I've been busy
Game
with that.
time.
Oh, wow.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we'll get ours done tomorrow.
Awesome.
Wisconsin with another punt return or reception. They got the football at the 47-yard line. 5:04 left third quarter. They're about to turn this potentially into an almost 4-score game.
I'm free after 1 tomorrow, Will. So if you got a time, just shoot me a text tomorrow or send me a message in Discord. And
yeah, my summer class, my winter break class ends at 2. So
all right,
just
shoot me a message on Discord.
Got any K-State fans to join in on this party?
I'm gonna try to find one on Twitter that I can contact to interview. I just try to look onto Twitter to see. I like to find student writers as well.
Can we talk about the fact that Nick Saban actually got his people to play in the game?
Yeah,
and that's
did he threaten them to like tell the scouts them bad? Is he like holding them hostage?
Bryce Young is the one that surprised me because, like I said earlier, Bryce Young got hurt this year.
So Oklahoma State got it. Fumble.
I think it is, by the way, a brilliant hire.
Yeah.
Like I said with these guys in some earlier chats, it finally gets Wisconsin to stop playing berry ball.
Yeah.
And where they're going to open up the offense, get the kind of recruits that they need to create a big play passing game and give them a shot to win the kind of games they have not been able to win in the chase for a national title. Will, you're probably a few seconds ahead of us as Oklahoma State grabs that rebound or grabs that fumble. And they are now in position to score their second score.
They have to score. They have to score.
It's a requirement now at this point of the game. It is a requirement.
Yeah, berry ball was great. I mean,
usually scoring is good, but especially in this scenario.
Yeah.
But today you're not going to win a playoff playing berry ball. Alabama proved that after 2012. I mean, we had to get away from running. You had to open it up, and
Saban did that. And to his credit, there are some coaches that are stuck in their ways and they don't evolve. And then you have the best coaches like Saban that realized as much as they love running the ball, let's get in Lane Kiffin.
Yep.
Let's bring in a spread offense, and then they kept winning those trophies.
Nice. Till Road with his comments, the Golden Flash Mob. Trying to remember what university you're referring to.
Kent State.
Yep, absolutely. Kent State.
March alum.
And Troy V with K-State fans. Do those exist? Is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to root for K-State when Snyder was there. Because he's an old Hayden Fry assistant, So I mean, he turned that program. He turned Kansas State into what Barry Alvarez turned Wisconsin into. They were both great coaches.
When they start naming stuff after you, you're probably a pretty good coach.
You're probably a pretty good coach,
especially when they name it after your family. That means that you're really loved.
Yeah,
where you have the option to say no, don't name it after me. Name it after our family.
Yeah.
That tells you how much power that you yield because of the excellence you've created at that place. Now, I have to tell you, if he was not on late night daddy duty on a very regular basis because of his wife's job working in the medical field, I could get an old broadcast buddy of mine who used to be the Milwaukee Brewers radio postgame show host, who now does that for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Mm.
Oh,
to
wow.
come on. He is a K-State fan. He could actually vouch for the existence of K-State fans.
They're real. Yeah.
They are there.
Boom. Another stop for Wisconsin.
Oh, that's so huge.
Massive.
And the defense has had their missteps today, but I gotta say they're playing hard. They've made the plays when they needed to make the plays.
Yeah. I mean, we're now talking almost double-digit punts for Oklahoma State.
And I mean,
Jim
honestly,
Yeah.
Wisconsin is one missed tackle.
Ooh.
Well, three guys missed the same tackle, but one tackle away from being 24-0. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
they've really shut Oklahoma State, except for that one play. Oklahoma State really hasn't done a lot.
I got my Nats World Series sweatshirt on, Jay. Your old pal Trent Grisham was a big help.
At least I can say that the Brewers in 2019, I see why you said, ooh, that run by Braylon Allen on first down.
Yeah.
That
in
penalty tacked on a
2019
couple more yards.
Yep.
Oh, we got
That
a nice
the
little penalty there.
Personal foul penalty.
Look at Wisconsin. That's
But
what you need.
Yeah, the 2019 Brewers lost to the world champions. The 2020 Brewers lost to the world champions. The 2021 Brewers lost to the world champions. It took the champs
Yeah.
to knock them out. Toll Road, we have to admit, is a massive Ohio State fan.
Oh,
John Toll Road, be nice, be kind.
Well, Mark's in here too somewhere, so
Yeah.
we've got a couple Buckeyes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not really a fan of Ohio State, but when you guys play Georgia, I'll be rooting for you all night long. Beat Georgia.
We have Jeffrey here in the
Jeffrey,
chat.
we got Jeffrey.
Oh, Jeffrey.
Only
Thanks for popping
talk
in.
sports.
A skittery run by Braylon Allen to turn squat into 3 yards. And another Buckeye. Jeez.
And we got Troy. Yes, if you want to learn about your sports, you go to Only Talk Sports or you go to Young Guns because we got Will and they do such a great job on their shows and they know so much about the sport. And I think it's really impressive what they do. So check them out.
Appreciate that, John.
Check out Young Guns.
And speaking
and Will was on my show last night on Sports Jeopardy and he killed it.
Yeah, Joey edged me out, but it was a great game.
Can Joey just like be a I don't know, a mascot one week? Just take a week off.
Well, he took a week off. He took a week off last trivia, and then he let me play. And luckily, I played the week that he had a whole bunch of old questions because I told him if I'm going to play, you got to have old questions because you put these new questions, I look like an idiot. I got to have the old ones.
Amen. And speaking of such young guns, it appears we
have.
Hey!
At this point, we might as well just call it Young Guns Part 2. We're gonna bring everybody in.
Now, Jeffrey, I'm going to tell you something I don't think anybody's ever told you. Friends do not let friends wear orange. You shouldn't wear orange. That's Auburn and Tennessee. Friends don't let friends wear orange.
Hey man, it was the next in line, man.
Okay,
I'm sorry, man.
Hey, I do wear red if I'm
dominating.
I got my Buck shirt, my Tom Brady Buck shirt. So when I'm wearing that, I'll wear red.
Yeah.
Now we've got 3 different sets of Bucks, by the way, when it comes to this. The greatest of them, the Milwaukee Bucks, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Ohio State, who tries to attempt to commandeer BUCKS.
And also, don't forget about commandeering the word the. For marketing purposes.
Now, Jeffrey, for those on our channel who are unfamiliar with you, tell us what you do.
I'm on Only Talk Sports. That's my YouTube channel by itself. And I break down college football. I try to do NBA, NFL, and college basketball, but for right now, it's mostly college football. But I'm going to transition over to some of that kind of stuff when college football goes away. But I'm also on Young Guns with Will and Jackson and Buckeye Mike and Austin. We all do college football videos, and we're going to kind of transition over to other sports as well. But that's where you can find me on YouTube.
Quickly interjected to Oklahoma State running wide receiver screens, actually moving the football.
Oh,
Actually getting touchdowns. What
That's
just
the only
happened?
play that's really worked.
a bad drop.
Okay, we'll take that.
Oh, and they did raid. Oklahoma State did raid the transfer portal a bit. Got some talent from the likes of Western Michigan and Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I just saw that bad drop by Presley. If he
Oof.
catches that, it's
That's
24.
it. That's a different game. Yeah.
It's
You got to make
24-14.
these, and on the big stage, you got to make those.
Yeah.
I think he thought he was going to get hit. If you kind of watch, you come in like that, you're expecting to get hit, but he was wide open.
He was the one within 5 yards.
No, yeah, I mean, because he turned his head to see. I think he was worried it was coming, and there was nobody.
My goodness.
We were doing a question. We should ask you guys too. What bowl game that, not counting your own, are you most excited about?
I'm most excited about the Alamo Bowl. I think Michael Penix and all that, and Texas, taking on Texas, trying to beat the Longhorns with his arm. I think it'll be interesting to see if he can do it, if he can overcome Texas in that talent gap between the two teams.
Well, that was my pick, so you did good. That's the one I want to see.
Nice. Now, I am saying this solely because of the tradition of the game, and I was blessed to experience it once in my life covering it, the Rose Bowl. Penn State, Utah, but it's because it's the Rose Bowl. It's because it's that setting. It's because it's that stadium with that just amazing view from it, the tradition of it. I think somewhere in our storage unit, I've got the 350-page Rose Bowl history book that they give to the media every year. I mean, it is as thick as the screen that I'm looking at all of you on right now. And just the tradition of that game. And
the only thing I miss about the Rose Bowl is Keith Jackson. I wish we could have him back. I mean, him calling the Rose Bowl, that was just the game,
Yeah. At the same time, I grew up in the 80s when NBC had the game and it was Dick Enberg and Roland Olsen.
Yep.
You got the NFL guys calling it.
Yeah.
That was so cool. But Keith is Keith.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest that we have now for the greatness of one college football announcer is Gus Johnson, because he's now the college guy. I mean, ESPN has its cadre of announcers, but Gus is the college guy who everyone just rallies around. Just like Toll Road says, Keith Jackson was the best.
I really liked Brent Musburger. He was kind of my Keith Jackson. Yeah. He's the one that I grew up on, because I was too young for Keith, unfortunately.
The guy who don't get a lot of credit, I like Blackledge. I like Todd Blackledge. I think he does a really good job, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
Probably because he was a Penn State guy. That's why.
There you go. Yep.
and that should not be a reason, by the way.
Man, Toll Road even giving a Michigan guy credit.
I always said you like Gus Johnson when your team is doing well, and you don't when it's not. And
Gus
when Ohio
Johnson's
State
the best
was
when there's a
doing
big
well,
play.
When Ohio State was doing well, and he was saying JK all day, I was not a fan. But now that he's saying the Don and narrating our wins against Ohio State and Purdue, etc., then all on board.
I will tell you, Big Ten fans, I give you guys my sympathy, because you're going to be getting the announcer called Gary Danielson on CBS. Enjoy him. I'm glad he's not coming with the SEC. We'll lynch him. We do not want him anymore. He can stay with the CBS. I do not like the guy.
Well, I guess you gotta take your lumps with the good stuff, right? So I guess we'll deal with them if we need
Yeah,
to.
you're gonna be
We
stuck.
have a
That he's
We
gonna
have
get
a
the
party,
Rutgers
Mike.
games.
There you go.
this is officially turning into a party right now.
Hey, we got Jackson.
Jackson Johnson.
Now it really is turning into Young Guns
Yeah.
Part 2.
Oh, you're gonna like what's gonna come on right after the commercial, Jay. You're gonna like what's coming on right after the commercial.
I will appreciate that. Yes, Jackson. For those who are unfamiliar with you here on Sorgy Stories, tell us who you love, what you do, your team, and what your channel's about.
Oh, you're muted, buddy.
Oh, he's muted.
We'll fix. No, he's not muted. He's not muted. Go ahead. Yeah, Jackson, that's on your end. It's on your end. We're not able to.
Oh, and by the way, my favorite teams, I guess you would say, I like Alabama from childhood, but I live in North Carolina, so I like North Carolina. And my sucker punch team is Indiana because they're bad. I just root for them as well. So those are my 3 favorite teams.
We just saw the jump around, which
Yes,
Michigan adopted. After during the Michigan-Wisconsin game, all the Michigan players and fans did the jump around, and then we won the game. So I think more teams need to do that and harness the power of these things.
Oh, what
Okay.
a spectacular catch by Presley!
Yeah,
He got it within 5 yards of the
Presley's
end zone. And someone's wearing a North Carolina
doing
Tar
work.
Heels jersey there.
Oh, are they gonna get it?
Wow.
Nope.
Full house backfield.
Well, can we let Buckeye? Do you know if we can let Mike in? I don't know if you guys have the 6 or the 10% limit.
Jackson, see if you can fix your microphone issues, and then let us know when you come back in. We'll try and get you back in. Okay. Okay, that cool.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
sometimes I have no idea. Unfortunately, his thing for no reason just is muted, and it works for like a week, and then it does it again. So it's interesting.
In the meantime, as Wisconsin seems to stuff Oklahoma State on 2nd down and goal, we are going to bring in another first-timer to Sorgy Stories. All sports. Mike, I believe you guys know him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Know him as Buckeye Mike.
Buckeye Mike.
He's changed his name to be a bit more not the Ohio State. I'm an all sports fan. Hey, he only did it because only talk sports. It's kind of close,
No,
Okay.
I did it so we can cover more than college football.
I know.
Woo! Wisconsin with a goal line stand on 3rd down.
That's got to give Jim Leonard some credit. Could have phoned it in. Could have been like looking at his job offers and job opportunities, and nope.
John needs the field goal team to come out and score their 10 points.
John needs the field goal
John
team
needs
to
the
come
field
out.
goal.
And it looks like they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh no, are they
No,
are they
going for it? They're
going to go for it, unfortunately.
Now, I don't know if we can get Jackson on with our StreamYard plan. We're going to check.
We'll see.
Yep, we're limited to 6. So, unfortunately, the room is full at the moment.
Uh-oh.
So I apologize, Jackson. We got to get you in at some point. I'll let you guys discuss the toll roads comment. Indiana being a favorite of both Ohio State and Michigan fans. Easy W every year.
Yeah, they are definitely a favorite team of a lot of Big Ten teams. They're horrible, but again, Tom Allen is that guy. When they do win, it's the Super Bowl every time.
Yes, we are making Anthony do way too much work. And especially at this hour of night, kid, shouldn't you be going to bed?
Yeah, that's why I started doing YouTube when I was 18, man.
No. At least he's on Christmas vacation, so it's not a problem.
So John, what do you think are your chances against TCU?
TCU? I think they're pretty good. I think
I think we have the advantage in the trenches. I think we have the advantage in talent. I think we have the advantage in pretty much every area except quarterback and maybe some personnel, some offensive personnel groups. But I could see this being a 42-20 type situation where it's close in the first half. Maybe even TCU's ahead by 3 points at the end of the first half, and then we do what we do.
It's amazing for me, like when I'm super tired, how I can forget almost anything, but then I'm just rambling a bunch of football facts. They're just like ingrained in my head. And everything else is gone. I don't remember what I ate for dinner the night before, but oh yeah, the 01 Rose Bowl or something's just in there. It's just something funny.
Yeah.
I get in trouble with my wife so often with stuff like that. I can't remember what's on the shopping list, but I can tell you who the Badgers beat in the 94 Rose Bowl, what the score was, all that stuff.
It was UCLA, wasn't it?
Yep.
John bailed you out that year, though, against the Buckeyes.
We'll take it.
So Jeffrey, you're saying like how I always just randomly remember the 1969 Rose Bowl when O.J. Simpson broke off the 75-yard touchdown run against Ohio State.
Okay, your face said that there was a play that just got made here. Will's face gave it away. Let's see what happens.
Oh, we're looking.
Here we go.
4th down.
You've got to control the face reactions, Will.
Okay, now I understand what that face was. What a play!
He carved that ball into the end zone.
What a play!
He Brett Favre'd it in the underhand throw while being sacked.
That was some Dr. Pepper halftime kind of shit right there.
Yeah.
So Jay, what was your favorite Wisconsin win? Was it that first Rose Bowl? Was it the Terrell Pryor game and JJ Watt game?
I was of the games that I've been to, I would say the 2010 win over Ohio State when they were ranked number 1, and they went in Madison under the lights in prime time, and David Gilreath took the kickoff back. And it was such a special memory for me because I was working for the radio network. I was doing stats for Matt LePay, the play-by-play guy, who went to Ohio State, by the way, Mike. And I remember just his call of, it was a standard high-energy kickoff return call. And then he yelled out, "And this game begins with a bang." He goes silent. The sound of 81,000 fans going berserk, with about half of them having had at least 10 alcoholic drinks before kickoff. You knew that place was maniacal. You knew that's what it was. But for the program, the 94 Rose Bowl when they beat UCLA, and Darrell Bevell, the perennial NFL assistant coach now.
Oh, yeah.
The coach of the quarterback of the Wisconsin Badgers, who was on a Mormon mission and had come back to quarterback the team at like 26 years old. The guy's 40-yard dash time was slower than mine. And yet he ran in a 20-yard scoring run in the fourth quarter. And that was the score that put them over the top to win that game. I mean, it was the slowest footed touchdown in the history of Wisconsin football, and it was the most important. Because we've never won anything. We've never won anything. We've never gotten over the hump. We've endured the 2014 Big Ten championship loss to Ohio State, where Gus Johnson is going, Cardale Jones!
Cardale Jones!
Cardale Jones!
Do you guys remember? Do you remember the Camp Randall Crush that year?
Oh yeah, that was painful to watch.
So
Oh, sorry. I thought it was more. I didn't know if it was a happy or sad. I didn't know if it was a happy or a sad memory. Sorry.
I think one
I
of the
think what
better.
comes to me, go ahead.
I think one of the better Ohio State Wisconsin games that's up there with the 2010 one that he was talking about is it 2012? No, it couldn't have been in 2012. I think it was 2011. Braxton versus Russell Wilson
Yeah.
at the Jew. That was definitely a heck of a game.
Jackson, as we know, another one of the young guns is asking how many conference titles will Luke Fickell win as the head coach of Wisconsin? That's a great question. How many Big Ten conference titles? That means they have to actually beat the Big Ten East person, which hasn't really been their strong point. But I think with Fickell they could win a few. Isn't the Big Ten supposed to not have divisions eventually?
Yeah, non-divisions.
Like after next year.
As soon as UCLA and USC come over,
2024.
So 2024. So we have
Which
one more
makes
year of
sense
divisions.
with the playoff format, the way it is, it makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
I see if Fickell lasts there 10 years, I think they win 2 Big Ten titles.
That's what I would. That would have been my guess. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, because it's going to be Ohio State, Michigan.
Still,
at least 1 or 2 or 3 of those 10 years, right? And then you might get Penn State creeping up in there, or hell, Nebraska,
USC,
Matt Rule,
possibly
USC. Oh yeah,
USC coming.
Tim and Tony are going to rake me over the coals because I didn't say USC.
So, do you guys think that? This is what I have to ask. Do you guys think that USC will be affected by the weather?
No,
because I know they play teams like Utah, but I know that's what's
not anymore.
Well, no, to Ty Guy's point, no, because what they will do, they will just schedule the Big Ten the Big Ten road games early in the year.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. Ohio State, Michigan is still going to be the last game of the year. The week before that, USC is going to play Notre Dame. So you're only looking at 2 weeks in November to play a road game, and one of them will be a home game. So I don't see weather being a factor.
And with national recruiting, with the technology that's now used to keep teams warm, with technology of clothing as well as heaters, and I'm going to use the example of the Green Bay Packers. They used to have a ridiculous home field advantage in the playoffs because it was insanely cold, much colder than it's going to be in November.
That's how the Vikings made it to those Super Bowls, right?
Yep, back in the 70s.
Yeah. But now, with all those advantages that traveling teams have, there was a portion of time where, for the 21st century, the early part of the 21st century, the Packers had a losing record in home playoff games. And that's not because they had a bad team. It's because the opponents have caught up in terms of doing what they need to do to be able to succeed on the road in cold temperatures. It's just not
we bring heaters. We bring heaters.
Bring the heaters.
We got new gear, the Under Armour that they,
Yeah.
And USC will be bringing designer heated tents and shit like that. It's going to be stacked up. But I mean, here's the thing with USC. I think that they will do well. I think they're going to be in that top tier along with Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State kind of creeping in there sometimes. And then you got your Wisconsin and stuff. I think it's in that echelon. I won't go as far as to say where, because we don't really know how they're don't really get to see those types of matchups very often, like USC go up against Iowa or something. We don't see
just know that USC is going to be ahead of Indiana. We know that.
You said it, not me.
Well, and think about this. Lincoln Riley's an offensive-minded coach, and Alabama is known to take USC coaches like Sark and like Kiffin. You know, we might make him an offensive coordinator here in a couple years. And
right. Toll Road commenting about the
man.
Tide Guys movement.
Well, there is rumor already, and it is rumor, and to Will's point, it's probably just Oklahoma trolls, but there's rumor that Broncos want to hire Lincoln Riley as the next head coach.
Oh man, that would be a meltdown if that happened. That would be a complete meltdown. I hope for their sake it don't happen, but man, if it did, oof.
So what is all of your guys' opinion about Penn State and James Franklin? Because James has the problem that Harbaugh used to have.
Can't win the big one.
Won't win the big ones.
The problem with Penn State, though, is Penn State don't have the money to buy him out. Penn State ain't going to buy that contract out.
I'm gonna boil this down.
They're not Texas A&M. Texas A&M can write the check tomorrow and get rid of Fisher. Penn State does not have that money to write Franklin out.
I'm gonna boil this whole thing down to the fact that if it wasn't for one play against Ohio State in 2016, Franklin ain't there no more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like.
It's what we talked about earlier.
He needs to win a big one. And it's Jim Harbaugh's situation before he started winning against Ohio State. Like, you got to win against Michigan. You got to win against Ohio State.
Well, and think about that, John. Jimbo Fisher is only at Texas A&M because he beat Alabama last year. If he didn't beat Alabama last year, they didn't give him the guarantee of $90 million over. They would only owe him $40 million. He's gone.
I call it the beat Saban raise.
Yep.
Yeah, I joked that they were the best 5-7 team in the country.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's true because I mean, like, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Vanderbilt would beat them." Again, the talent gap is ridiculous. They had a terrible season, but you saw how they played against LSU, so they're capable. But they just were not consistent. And
is that Texas A&M money could only buy a 5-7 team.
Yeah, that's bad. It's awful. But I mean, Will was telling me that Vanderbilt was going to beat Texas A&M, and then it's like, oh, okay, so Vanderbilt loses 56-0 to Tennessee, but then Texas A&M beats LSU by 15. I mean,
there are not enough good coaches.
We're not on expectations. We don't have to talk about
great programs.
Yep, and that's the problem. There's not enough great coaches.
So, and this is. I promise, John, this is not a knock on Michigan, but why I promise it's not. I give you respect. Why is Jim Harbaugh still the coach at Michigan? Because if he was coach at A&M, to Ty Guy's point, or like I've always said, he was a coach at Ohio State, he would have been gone a long time ago because he couldn't beat Ohio State.
I'll make this. I have a real simple answer. Simple answer. He was the quarterback of Michigan in the 1980s and one of the best quarterbacks we ever had, and that's why he got another season. That's
Nebraska tried to,
and he was willing to take a pay cut to prove he could do it. But you guys got to realize that. That used to be coaching. Coaching used to take 5 years. Yeah. You know, it's only been the last 10 years that coaches are only given 2 or 3 years. You got to give them time sometimes.
Patience sometimes pays off, like Michigan. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
For the sake of the entertainment value of this conversation, I'm going to dip out. We're going to include Jackson and see if his audio's in. I'll kick one. I'll give him a few minutes in, and then I'll come back in. But Jackson,
here. No, let me go. I need to do something. Let me go. You stay in. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just say one thing real quick for you young guns who just come here. Watch my channel this week. We have an announcement. Something is going to start in 2 weeks, and we're going to announce it this week on my channel. So get ready for it. We're going to have something new coming out. So you guys all have a great night, and I'll see you guys again.
And everyone, check out Ty Guy's channel.
If you aren't subscribed to Tide Guy,
do it.
what are you doing with your life? Go
Go
subscribe
check
to
it
Tide Guy. His channel's a lot of fun. We have trivia, we have Jeopardy. It's great stuff.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Todd Guy. We'll
As
talk
long
to
as you
soon.
can handle lack of sleep, then Ty Guy's the channel for you, man. It is the best.
And no cheating in trivia.
It's
Right.
like Gilligan's Island.
wait.
You're coming for an hour or two, and you'll stay for 4 or 5.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Bye, guys.
We'll see you.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye.
All right, we're going to bring Jackson in. Hopefully, this will work this time.
Oh no!
Come on. Okay.
Oh, I'm
All
back.
right.
Hey, we can hear you.
Yeah. The audio works.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Yes,
Good.
you got it.
Awesome.
Made it happen.
Well,
The
Mr.
audio-
Sargent, how are you doing, my man?
Fantastic. The name's Jay.
All right.
Mr. is my grandfather.
How was your
But I
Christmas, by the way, Jay? Is it really cold out where you're at, man?
Oh,
29 degrees.
big catch.
in Philadelphia.
Wow.
Uh-oh. 3rd and 14 for Oklahoma State. We're a few seconds behind the feed that was just the reaction that was just there, and a wide open Oklahoma State Cowboy. Owens to take it to the 20.
Good football play to keep him out, though. That was a good football play at the end there. Keep him out of the end
Oklahoma
zone.
State's trying to make this interesting.
Comment of the day. So when Harbaugh was Screech's cousin on Saved by the Bell.
He's had a lot of media appearances over the years, including Saved by the Bell.
All right,
Bam!
Jackson,
Got the first down.
Jackson, for the audience who does not know you, who are watching us, tell us what you're about.
Well, I'm all about I'm a Crimson Tide fan, and I pull for Notre Dame because I was raised Catholic. I mean, I get to pull for 2 college football teams. But when it comes right down to it, I pull for Bama over Notre Dame. But also, I'm a co-host of Young Guns, and we do some pretty awesome interviews, and we do some awesome shows. And you'll catch us, here or there, at a show here, there, everywhere. We're kind of like a traveling road show, so it's pretty fun. And I have an upcoming show coming up, a show of my own, and it's going to be really fun. And I talk about college football and also talk about all kinds of other things, in life as well. And and there's going to be some awesome guests on there as well. And we also have some awesome guests at the Young Guns as well. So
Anthony was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Thank
So
you. Thank
check
you.
out the Young
Of course.
Guns. Check out this future show that's coming on my channel sometime in 2023. Jacksonian. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Nice.
Wow.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Troy commenting, my dislike of Jim Harbaugh didn't start when he went to Michigan. It started when he was the quarterback for his Chicago Bears.
So
He found late to throw picks, which were uncanny.
Yeah,
speaking of Jim Harbaugh, I do have a question for Jay and John. I mean, I know Harbaugh says he's not going to be looking right now. I mean, he's not going to be looking right now. But once it's like after Black Monday, after National Championship, I know John's just like, oh no, he's about. I hope I'm not upsetting, bro, but
You gotta be careful, man.
because it's like, is Jim Harbaugh going to be looking at the Colts job, or the Colts going to want him, or no?
I have thoughts.
was-
Go ahead, John.
Huh?
I have thoughts, but go ahead, John, first.
So it's tough for a few reasons. There are some legitimately good head coaching jobs open in the NFL at this point, where he could come in and in 1 year have them in the playoffs. I believe that because of what he did at the 49ers. So there are going to be teams calling him. I do think that that Michigan will be giving him the $12 million contract next year to stay, and they should.
4th down, but for Oklahoma State, they're within the 10-yard line of the Badgers.
So I think he gives us one more year, but I do think, I mean, he's got that itch. He wants to have, his brother got that Super Bowl. He wants a Super Bowl. I get that. he has that competitive spirit, and I understand that. But I think he'll give us one more year.
Coach Sorgi, do you go for it here or do you kick?
I kick. I get the points. I make it a 1-score game.
Yeah,
So
I
I
agree.
agree.
So, John, to your point, probably right, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know, because I remember hearing something in the offseason about like he dipped his toe into the NFL water, so to speak, and nothing stuck, and so he was supposedly all in and fully committed to Michigan.
No total. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I know I get that both of those jobs are open, and honestly, the Colts job would probably be the best for him. But
He won with the Colts. He made it to the AFC Championship with the Colts.
I don't think he's gonna leave. I really don't.
If
Like
if
in
he
general.
wins,
That's my
if
point.
he
Boom,
wins the national championship.
boom.
Yeah, he's not leaving.
No, I think if he wins the national championship, he might. Because then he's achieved all the goal. He's
Yeah,
achieved
he's
the
done
goal
all that he wanted to do.
he's set out to achieve.
Here's the thing. He's not leaving next year. Because, no offense, John, you guys will probably win against TCU. But the only way you guys win the national championship is against us. There's no way you guys beat Georgia. I'm sorry. It'll be close. A lot closer than it was last year in the Orange Bowl, but
It would take a Georgia performance against Missouri. Then
Yeah.
Michigan could win.
Georgia's shown weakness
It
this
happens.
year. I don't think they're. I think Georgia did. They lost some NFL talent, and Michigan has a much better quarterback than they had in the last game. I think that the two games are not going to look very similar at all, because if you look at what JJ's done the last couple of games, Georgia and TCU will do the same thing. They're going to stack the box, because if you're facing a dynamic offense where they can get you with the run, the pass, JJ's legs, you got to pick one. And so a lot of teams have been stacking the box. I think TCU will definitely do that, and Georgia will to an extent. They'll probably hang some guys back as well. But
here's the thing.
Either way.
It could go either way. Hey, here's the thing. So, like, I'm rooting for you guys to win, and I'm rooting for us to win. But if you guys win, then I'm almost terrified for us to win, because I don't want to see you guys run all over us again and play backyard ball with McCarthy sitting in the pocket, throwing to wide open receivers that are wide open by like 25 plus yards. And that's why he's good. He can't. We haven't seen him throw into coverage. That's why he's good. He's throwing to wide open receivers, or wide open enough that it's like, he's good. He's good. But
he's thrown into coverage on some occasions. But I'd say the big plays, I'll agree with you that the big plays have been open.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He has thrown into double coverage.
But it's like, I don't want to see that massacre again. Because there's no way you change your defense in, a month and a half-ish to where it can actually stop what you do. Because like you said, you have 3 things to stop. I don't want to hear and constantly see this crap about, where's Ryan Day? I'm going to snap his head off and put it on a pike. No, I don't want to. It's my coach.
Fact that the two of you can discuss this in late December tells you just how beautiful this college football playoff is, that it gives us the chance for a rematch of one of the 2 or 3 most bloodthirsty rivalries in college football, and it could be the biggest game in the history of Western civilization.
For all the marbles.
Yeah, playoffs? Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? Playoffs? I just want to win a game.
But you will have Armageddon happening that night if those 2 teams play for the national title. just complete Armageddon. I would want
See-
to put like a folding chair or like some sort of lawn chair right on the Ohio-Michigan border and just watch the fireworks display.
So John, in your opinion,
Yeah.
and even though I'm ignoring the comment, to Tim's point that he stated before, it could not always happen every year. How do you feel about playing Ohio State once divisions go away and the 12 team comes into play? How do you feel about Michigan, Ohio State playing 2, possibly 3 times a year?
Well, if it's good enough for Bama and Georgia to do it, and Bama LSU before that, playing twice a year and I think twice a year. I'm down.
What happened, Jay?
Let's do it.
Wisconsin is in position where Oklahoma State's about to get the football back.
This is scary. This reminds me of our
They
game.
could blow a 3-score lead.
This reminds me of our game against
You're
them
only
last
2
year.
minutes ahead of me, Jay.
Wait, what's the score?
It's 24-17.
Ugh, the bat down.
Unfortunately, I picked this game before I knew Luke Fickell was coaching in this game. I picked Oklahoma State, but when
Wait,
Luke Fickell
game?
But when Luke Fickell was announced to be
figurehead
coaching this
coach.
game, then I was like, okay, I'm not. I don't change my picks, but this game's getting interesting though. We'll see what happens.
Scary now.
He's described his role as like helping relay information.
Yep.
And
He's an observer of the program. He's taking the notes.
Okay, Barry Alvarez.
Yeah, while Jim Leonard
Oklahoma
uses this as his
State.
tryout.
Gentlemen, you know what Oklahoma State's been this year? Pitiful.
Stillwater.
Pitiful. I mean, you lose at home to West Virginia while everyone is watching the game on Fox. Like, that is pitiful. That is not a Fiesta Bowl. You go from Fiesta Bowl champions at the end of 2021 to getting smacked down in your own backyard by West Virginia.
Now, the reason that we lost that game,
Hold on. Here's the thing. To Will's point and Will's team's credit, even though I really don't like Notre Dame should have won that game. Notre Dame should
He
have
didn't have
Mother-in-law
Mike
is
Elston as
chiming in with great anger about someone ripping on. No.
Tell me Oklahoma State didn't score.
No.
They better.
Jackson, don't talk bad about my Mountaineers.
Ooh.
All right.
Oh, snap.
There we go.
How about that for a
Flag.
football move? How about that for a
forgot.
football move
I
right
was
there?
talking about. I forgot Anthony was a Mountaineers fan for a moment.
Cedric Dort Jr.
I'm a Mountaineer by marriage. Anthony is half Mountaineer.
Jackson.
Yep, me and my
Always respect
All good.
the state of West Virginia.
huh?
Always respect the state of West Virginia, Jackson. Because you
My
got to
fault.
remember, and I hope this doesn't make Sorgi and you not like me, but by default, because of family reasons, I am also a Marshall fan.
My mother-in-law went to Marshall, so it's all
But-
good.
The Friends of Cold Bowl.
I forgot that you're a West Virginia man. My bad.
It's
But
all good.
speaking of West Virginia, how did it feel to see the backyard brawl come back in 2022? Let alone start off the season in all of college
It's a good
football.
time.
Beautiful.
Booyah!
Beautiful move.
Like,
Beautiful move.
is there a way? Like, if I had it my way, you guys would be playing Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech, Maryland, and Marshall every year. If that's the way you want it, man. Because think about it. Because, like, your rivals with Maryland, your rivals with Virginia, your rivals with Pittsburgh and Marshall. So it's like, make it annual. Let's make it
Oh,
thing.
we have an injured Badger after that.
The rivalry with Marshall, it's not even really a rivalry. They lead the series 12-0.
Right.
Right.
I would say in a perfect
Got a
world,
great name though.
yes, in a perfect world, Big East football would still exist.
Yes.
Give me a 12-team Big East.
Yes.
And I hope I remember how this would work properly.
Right.
You have one side. I would include the two service academies, Army and Navy, Syracuse, Boston College, Rutgers, and Temple.
Right.
That's one side. The other side, West Virginia, Pitt, Cincinnati, Louisville, Penn
UConn?
State, which means it's not going to happen. And I think, UConn would have to be in there, so they'd have to reconfigure it somehow. But I would love to see the return of the old Big East football conference, the way that was. Because then you would have go ahead.
UConn's back, Anthony. UConn is back. You see what Jim Moore is doing with UConn? UConn is back.
Jim Mora, man.
I was
Still
just gonna
not beating
say-
heart, man, because in a 12-team playoff, with the way this is designed with the 6 bids, you need the Big East back. You need it back. It makes complete sense. Bring back 1990s conferences.
It will never happen.
It will never happen. I agree, but bring it back because me and Bug he was like, Bug was like, it's not gonna happen. I know it's not, but you have to bring it back.
And
the way
around.
everything's being constructed.
That's what we want to see.
Get a block in the red zone.
Get a block. There we go.
Thank you for allowing me to do the interruption there.
Yeah, that was a great play there.
Oh, you're good, man.
Wisconsin, that run game, man.
The odds of the Big East happening are like the odds of us seeing a pro sports team, an expansion franchise, bringing back 1990s colors like teal and purple.
Now, if we were to join the Big East instead of Penn State, do you think it would work?
It would work.
It would.
Sure.
Notre Dame would never do it, but it would work.
All that him and Jeffrey are saying is that you need that main powerhouse team in there. It doesn't matter if it's Notre Dame, Penn State.
Penn State should have been in the Big East, man. That was the end. Like that move to go to the Big Ten completely single-handedly. Just it's where we're at now. The 2 mega conferences because Penn State did not go to the Big East. It would have eventually happened anyway, but that started it all, man. That started it all quicker.
Penn State's rivalries before they went to the Big Ten were Pitt, Syracuse, West Virginia. They would play Boston College every year.
Notre Dame,
exactly.
Yeah,
let me play those games.
Like, I try to convince myself that like Penn State, Michigan State was like somewhat of a rivalry when I was younger, but then I was like, wait a minute, how's that even a rivalry again? That's not. It's forced.
Right. It's only a game that exists because they have to have some team to play the last weekend of the regular season. And it's the only game that would make sense because you have Michigan, Ohio State, you have Indiana, Purdue. So the other Eastern teams in the Big Ten had to play.
Hey, at least it's not as bad as Texas A&M and South Carolina being a yearly matchup, man.
So outside of the obvious, do you guys think that with USC, UCLA coming in and it tearing up divisions, do you think it changes some of the matchups during rivalry week outside of the obvious ones that won't change?
I'll defer to Will about Notre Dame USC every 2 years.
That can't happen. That has to happen every year.
Yeah. I'm literally gonna cry if Notre Dame USC doesn't play every year.
Hey, I'm upset Marshall and West Virginia aren't playing every year, man. So,
Will, it's real simple. Will, here's how it happens: join the Big Ten, and we can make it so.
Because here's what will happen. Here's what I think will happen is if Notre Dame USC continues every year, it gets played within the first 4 weeks of the season, and UCLA USC becomes the rivalry week game.
Nope. And here's why that won't happen, because they always play that game while the students are on campus. They want the student section filled for that game. I see where you're going with it, but that's why they won't do it.
Well, gentlemen, let's not forget, starting next year, there's going to be a $7 billion contract, which for the next 7 years, which means there's going to be $1 billion per year from 2023 to 2030, right?
Yeah.
So, and Fox, CBS, NBC all get a piece.
It's all over.
Oh yeah,
Oh man, I don't want to watch Alfred Hitchcock.
yeah. Fox,
What else is going on?
NBC, and CBS all get a piece of the pie of the Big Ten, and NBC also has Notre Dame. Now, I mean, we can all say we're really going to wait till 2033 for Notre Dame, Michigan, but do you really think we're going to wait that long? No, NBC is going to find a way. You know what they're going to do? NBC is going to try to talk some sense into Michigan and talk some sense into Notre Dame and go, hey, you two had a good thing going. You're going nowhere. We're not playing each other. What do you say you play each other every year? Oh, and by the way, we have an idea. You know, like how CBS airs Florida, Georgia every year and how Fox airs Michigan, Ohio State every year? Well, we at NBC would like to air Notre Dame USC annually at 6:30 or 7 p.m. on NBC every year, whether if it's at Notre Dame or at USC. You just keep your regularly scheduled, how it is, like in the odd years, you play at Notre Dame mid-October, and in the even number years, you play at USC on rivalry week, but only we get to air your game. What do you
My
say?
only request is don't put any good games on Peacock. Just please don't.
They never will.
No.
They never will. I don't know why you're so.
Hey,
The
Jay,
UNLV game was on Peacock.
Jackson, the only wrench
That
with your
was
idea, the only possible wrench in that theory is when you get to a situation where it's not going to be Michigan, Ohio State, or Notre Dame, USC, that happens to be the game that's going to decide who's going to play in the Big Ten championship game. The reason being, one of them may have already clinched the number 1 slot, or trying to find out who's going to clinch the number 2. Right. So that they may want to showcase that game, whether it's Wisconsin, Minnesota, or whether it's any one of a number of other different options. But that would be the only reason. But you talk logic with that, though, Jackson. You really do.
Congratulations to Wisconsin. They won.
Yes.
I was close to my prediction. I had Wisconsin win 24-21.
So to my actual question, it was basically when USC and UCLA come in and they shred division, does that change the rivalry week games for like Penn State, Michigan State? Does that get moved and inserted with someone else, or do the rivalry games that we have stay in place?
I don't see how they couldn't stay in place. Only because of what the current matchups are, who's entering and who's still there. I don't think you can really find a replacement.
But yeah, Notre Dame, USC, NBC, something for if NBC executives, if you're somehow watching this stream, that's something for you to think about. Airing Notre Dame, USC every year on your network.
Well, here's the thing, Jackson. You're forgetting something. If NBC execs are watching, you need to watch Young Guns too.
Exactly.
And Will and D and Only Talk Sports and All Sports Mike and Sorgy Stories and everybody. Mark,
watch everybody. Mark Rogers, voice of college football. Watch them all.
You want some good college football people, NBC? We are those people. Hire all of us.
Jackson, I used to work for an NBC affiliate, so I can run it up a flagpole. We'll see how many steps it goes. Probably not too far, but I can try.
Well, they have a Big Ten contract. I mean, I may not be from Big Ten country, and I may have been in the Midwest only once or twice in my life, but hey, maybe, I can offer a fresh perspective or something.
And Bama's playing the Badgers in Camp Randall as part of that.
I'm
Big
so
Ten TV
excited
contract.
about Alabama, Wisconsin doing a home and home. Like, oh my God.
That's going to be great.
And I guarantee you that's going to be an NBC primetime game.
I know,
That
right?
is going to be the
Well-
most soused up
it's like-
audience in the history of college football.
Jay,
It's like
I'm gonna be honest. I could see Luke Fickell. If it was like Paul Chris playing against Bama, Bama's gonna win both games. But with Coach Luke Fickell, I guarantee you, he could be one of the first non-con coaches to beat Saban in a regular season non-con matchup. I guarantee you, Luke Fickell is that good, man. I mean,
Yeah.
he may have not beaten Bama at Snape, but that's because he was at Cincinnati. But
And he's got a revenge game.
Yeah.
That he wants revenge for that playoff.
I'm telling you, I want to see both games in person. I mean, it's nice watching both games at home, but I would love to see both games in person. You know.
Well, that's like I wonder. So is the entire Big Ten getting ready to play the entire SEC? Because I only say that because if you look at, like, for example, Ohio State's non-con schedule between next year and 32, they have a home and home with Bama. They have a home and home with Georgia. They have a home and home with Oregon, Boston College. And I'll tell you what, I don't care what I have to do. I'm gonna get a ticket, and I'm going down to Tuscaloosa and Athens for those two games.
Take me with you, good buddy. Take me with you.
I have begged for decades to have one of the non-conference games for the Big Ten and the SEC to be a football Big Ten SEC challenge.
Yes.
And that would finally prove which conference is better, right?
There's that factor, and the fact is, it allows for flexibility of matchup. So you're going to get the premier game of that being a top 5 matchup in September every year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what also would be? You know what would be fun is you know how
Nebraska annual matchup.
Well, what if there was a Big Ten versus SEC, like, you know how the quarterbacks used to do like challenges and stuff in the Pro Bowl, like the Pro Bowl, like those activities and things that they all do. What if the Big Ten people, you pick your Big Ten first team and second team all Big Ten people, you get your first and second team all SEC people, and you do like throwing the football challenges and running through obstacle courses and stuff.
Nice.
That'd be
The issue with doing the Big Ten SEC like challenge like that in football, and I love the idea, it's awesome, and I wish they would do it, but the problem is the SEC schedule's weak in the non-conference because the way that football is constructed in the first place, you have to get to 6 wins, which I think is ridiculous in the first place because certain team schedules are so poor that when you make 6 wins, it's not even impressive, and other teams have to go through a gauntlet and they go 5-7. Those teams are probably better than those 6-6 teams. In college basketball, you're rewarded for playing tough games. So you can have a bad record to still make the tournament over a team that had a better record that didn't make the tournament because their schedule was weak. Football, you don't get rewarded for playing tough games. You get rewarded for winning.
So because this is the entire outlier of the 12 team. Do you think that the poor man's national champion makes the CFP every year, even with 2-3 losses? Like the way that it's about to be built, it's like your poor man national champion can have 2 to 3 losses and still get in, and then go for a mud hole stomping.
You know, with Marcus Freeman and those recruits coming in, we're going to be competitive, man. You know, we're at least going to be competitive with the recruits.
I mean, you can be competitive, but you're still going to lose 2 to 3 games every year. It's blatantly obvious. That's just how that program is. Look at Charlie Weiss. They always lost.
Charlie Weiss was a completely different coach than Marcus Freeman. Charlie Weiss was not good. He was bad. He was bad.
Kelly was completely different to Charlie Weiss.
Kelly was better than Weiss, but not good enough for Notre Dame.
Here's the thing.
That's why he's at LSU, right?
Yeah.
It's like, this hatred for coaches thing needs to stop because they do what's best for them.
Yep.
Now, if you're going to say that Kelly shouldn't have left the way that he left, where he didn't coach the bowl game. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Dude, I have friends that went to Cincinnati when he was at Cincinnati, and they tell me to this day they're still pissed at BK for leaving the way he did. Because that Cincinnati team was built to beat Florida. They should have won. But it all, according to them, it all went back to, and they even know some of the guys that played on the football team. And I've talked to Tony Pike. He said we were built to beat them. And we didn't, because the way BK left really screwed us up.
Yeah, it's all Burger King's fault, man.
Well, I'll say this on this stream, and this is a guarantee from me. Now, Brian Kelly may win a conference title, yes, but he will never, ever, ever, ever win a national championship. That I can guarantee you from me myself.
I don't even have that confidence to say that, because the 12 team, all you got to do is make the 12-team playoff and then make sure that your roster stays healthy and good enough, and anything is possible. So
He'll win.
I would almost lean toward, oh no, Jeffrey fell out.
Oh.
I would almost lean toward LSU actually winning a national title under Brian Kelly. As much as it hurts this man up here, I guarantee it, as The Rock or somebody would say, that they're going to win at least one win.
Okay.
We have a better chance than they do.
Well, would you care to make a bet on that, Buckeye Mike?
You're going to ask a
popcorn. This is fun. This is what you guys do.
Yeah.
Great sampling. Great
If you love this, check out the Young Guns.
Yep.
And subscribe.
Subscribe to Young Guns. Subscribe to all these guys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we do all kinds of fun stuff, you know. We just we do all games.
We like to beat up on this guy because his team loses to teams they're not supposed to lose to.
This is how it's been all year, man.
We stay up late on after
all year.
Been
and
there.
also, we stay up late till after streams till like 3 a.m. debating whether Stanford should be on our picks list.
The play.
Yep. The band is all over the field.
The band is on the field.
Yeah.
The band is on the field.
Oh, and
by the way, the New England Patriots proved, and I know we're talking NFL a little bit here, but they proved no team, pro, college, or high school, should ever run the Stanford band play in a tie game.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. Yes.
Speaking of NFL, Jay, who do you think is going to be that 7th AFC team? Because, like, it was like a sure thing that the Dolphins going to be, but now that Tua Tagovailoa is out for the rest of the season with his third concussion of the season, I'm really worried about his health. So it's like, I mean, he's like Marshall. Like, Jay, do you watch Gunsmoke?
I'm sorry?
Gunsmoke?
Gunsmoke, where it's like the Marshall Dillon, right? I know that Jeffrey knows what I'm talking about because he watches me TV. So, well,
he's talking about Gunsmoke.
Yeah, so like the Marshall Dillon, he's getting shot at, he's getting poisoned, he's getting stabbed, he's getting hit on the back of the head, he's getting his back broke, he's getting all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's Tua Tagovailoa right there.
Yep.
He's getting beat up. He's getting a leg broke. He's getting an ankle broke. He's getting a concussion. He's out doing mixed hand signals, man. I mean, I'm telling you, man, I'm worried about the health of Tua. You know, if he walked right out of here.
He's talking about that channel.
Yeah, about that channel. If Tua, and I say this with love for Tua Tagovailoa, if you're watching, I'm telling you right now, man, if you walked right out of there, just said, I'm retiring, I'm focusing on my health, I'm going to do like my other passions, all that other stuff, nobody is going to be mad at you. I guarantee it. You know who people be mad at? The Miami Dolphins medical staff, who've made who've done just a bad job taking care of Tua.
as Don Meredith said when doing Monday Night Football, the human body is not made to play football at any level. It is not designed to withstand what happens on a football field. And now we've got 260, 270 pound guys who can run 4.3, 4.4 40s, who are launching themselves into each other, where you can't always have the presence of mind or even the physical, literal ability to stop your head from hitting another person's helmet. It's inevitable that someone is going to have what Tua is enduring right now, and it's going to happen at the college level as well. It's just an unfortunate reality of a game that we all love.
That's why I don't play football.
Yeah, that's why Anthony's not playing. That's why the kid's not playing. And long term, 20, 30 years down the road, this sport that we love is going to suffer. Why do you think the NFL's experimenting with the Pro Bowl being a touch football game? I'm not saying that they're going to make regular football touch football, but I could see the NFL creating a secondary product of a touch football kind of a league to give people an option to watch and to give football players an option to develop into. It won't be the main league, but it might be something.
Yeah. So, like, to your point, like, I tried to play football in junior high, so 7th and 8th grade, and it's weird because, to the best of my ability, you could put a play on the screen, and I could break it down. My brain can't function properly to remember, oh, okay, if I look at my QB wristband, play 6 is Dragon Zipper X Curl 69 Blue Cougar. And it's this route runs this way, this route. I couldn't remember as trying out for the quarterback. I obviously can do the progressions, but I can't remember what each route is and where the ball should go. My brain, for whatever reason, couldn't process it. So I was like,
it would probably help if it was just throw long, throw medium, throw short, but it just doesn't work that way. You have to have more design plays, but man.
So to the coach's defense, they said, you know what? We're going to do the easiest thing for you. We're going to put you at linebacker and see ball, chase ball, hit guy with ball. If you cause the ball to come out, pick up the ball and run.
And if you hit the guy too hard, then you get sent to the bench.
Except defenses now are that complicated.
Mm-hmm.
They were that complicated back in the 80s with the Chicago Bears 46 defense. Now you have like cover 3, cover 2.
Yeah.
I mean, all these different defenses that you better know just as well as what you're describing, Mike, on offense.
So, since we're talking offense and defense, to John and Sorgi, can you explain what slug-o seam is? Because I went back and watched Super Bowl 37, and I watched the America's Game and stuff around it, and they kept talking about slug-o seam.
I wouldn't. Go ahead, John, if you know it.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I've heard of a sluggo kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sluggo is like when I think I've seen it like video games before where it's like you go and then you turn and then you go and you just go long. That's what it is. Stop and go. It's something like that. But I mean, I'm not.
It's like a chair route where you go up, you go out, and then up.
Yeah.
Double move.
Up, yeah.
Yeah, see, I hate when you just simplify the names. Like, there you go, the sluggo. It's actually a chair route because it looks like a chair.
Yeah.
Guys, I got a class tomorrow. I gotta go to bed.
Okay.
But
It's okay.
I'll see you. Thanks so much for having me on, Jay.
Thank
Really
you,
appreciate
Will.
it.
Will, good
Everyone,
seeing you always.
check
Good
out
seeing you,
his
John. Good seeing you
Instagram.
guys. I'll see you guys
I will.
tomorrow.
See you soon.
Bye, Will.
Have a great night. Troy brings up a very interesting point from a very funny point.
Yes.
That's been tried. We've seen 5 or 6 of those. And there
man.
may be still one out there. But
Dead
There
or
is a
alive beach volleyball.
There is a
But
women's
I-
football league that they dress in bikinis and just have shoulder pads on.
but in all seriousness, he makes a point. You take out the bikini stuff, but the development of touch football's been trying to become an international sport. They're trying to find some way to get into the Olympic Games. They're not going to do it with the current kind of football we've got.
No.
They could with touch football, much like what you see with rugby, with what they call rugby sevens, which is an international game. It's going to be slow developing, but especially because the Olympics now demand that any new sport have both male and female participants. I think that's the way that they're trying to get this sport worldwide. Would you watch 7-on-7 touch football in the Olympic Games?
Yes. It's football. Come on.
Boom!
Sure.
Yeah.
In that instance, but you also have to remember that is a circumstance that you don't get to see very often, which is like your team USA going up against your team whatever, China or whoever,
Netherlands or
it's different. It's different from what you normally watch when it comes to football, and that's why it would be interesting to see a touch football version.
So, since we're talking about making sports Olympic sports, can we just make the Nathan's hot dog eating contest an Olympic sport?
Now
Hell
that I agree with right there. There you go.
Absolutely.
Kobayashi, baby.
I think I'd finish last though. I'd probably bottom out after 2.
Since we
You
got
gotta
5 different
split
universities
the-
represented here, and I've
Split
got
the
multiple
dogs.
with where I went and where I worked. Let me ask you guys, what is the great eating challenge at your favorite team's favorite eating hole? Greasy's food, best restaurant. Like, what's the great eating challenge?
Oh, shoot.
Well, I mean, I got like at this one place where they have like this super big burger where you got to eat it in like 30 minutes. I mean, I don't know if it's not like an eating challenge where you got to eat like tons of hot dogs or anything, but it's like
that qualifies.
That's this place called Highway 55s or whatever, and I mean it's like huge, man. I mean, it's so big. It's got like 4 pounds of meat and all this. If you eat it within 30 minutes, you get it for free. But if you don't eat it within 30 minutes, you got to pay for it. So that's why I'm never buying it.
Nice.
Why you take small bites?
Come on, man. It's huge. It's bigger than my head. So, I mean, it's not going to fit in there.
It's not. If you eat it the right way, it's not that hard to eat it in half an hour.
Well, if I didn't eat in 3 days, I could eat it, maybe.
Do you make?
All I would have to do is go to bed right now and then eat it at lunch.
So at Michigan, there's this place called Tio's, and they have a 5-pound Mount Machismo. And if you eat that within 45 minutes, then you get a T-shirt. Your picture goes on the Wall of Fame, and then you get
and they do that too
free
at
meal.
the Highway 55s. They put your picture on the wall. Yeah.
So offhand, I can't think of one. I do know one of the popular restaurants to eat at around here is called Thurman's.
That's right.
And to eat the Terminator. Although I do recommend, even though it sucks they moved it into the Columbus International Airport, I do recommend going to eat at Eddie George's Bar and Grill. That place is awesome.
Nice. Jackson, you got one?
Challenges? I really don't know, to be honest. But
Okay.
all the eating challenges I've seen are on like man versus food, you know?
They've mentioned a couple of places that you guys have talked about.
Oh yeah. That one I do like is that little ice cream challenge that he did. That was pretty cool. I don't know if that's in Bama, but
I'm going to give you the one from my alma mater, Marquette football, undefeated since 1960, but Marquette University. They have a chili place called Real Chili. It's very similar to Cincinnati style chili, where it's like the 5-way type of thing. It's renowned for after bar. You'll walk in and you better have a helmet on because everybody's throwing oyster crackers at you. Like until 4 a.m. You are a target for oyster crackers going at you. But they have this challenge named after Marquette's previous university nickname, the Warrior Challenge. 77 ounces of increasingly hotter chili.
Ooh.
And you can put all whatever toppings you need to sort of balance it out. But 77 ounces of chili. Yeah, you get your face on the wall, that type of thing. But you're asking for like gastrointestinal distress. But yet that place was named, I think it actually made the finals of a Food Network bracket contest, college basketball bracket contest for best college diner.
I will say, if you want like in depth, at least within the Big Ten, in depth and like the Food Network type of Man versus Food, definitely. I don't know if it's still on or not, but definitely recommend Campus Eats on BTN.
Nice.
Oh, I remember the one on Man vs. Food where he was like, he did the Shut Up Juice challenge. I remember that one. That was pretty cool. And like the Super Bowl steak challenge. I remember that. Nice. He won that one.
Well, on that note, I'm going to bed. But Jay, thank you for having me this whole. I can't believe it's been almost 4 hours. We've rallied. It's been a good time.
It's been a blast, and I apologize for any of the food challenges.
We'll hopefully be seeing you again real soon.
Yeah, Will and I are going to film the thing on the Michigan TCU game. So I don't know if that's with all y'all or just with him or what, but I know that I'm doing that. So.
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm hoping to join that as well. That'll be pretty cool.
Cool. All right. Well,
there'll be a lot of questions asked of you.
I'm sure.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, guys.
Great one. I'll give one last topic to the three of you before we wrap this up, as I also need to be hitting the hay really soon. But this is totally off topic of college sports, but it came up this week. We've just wrapped up with Christmas. We're on the third day of Christmas now.
Mm-hmm.
Worst Christmas carol.
Let's see. I don't know. We've never had any Christmas carols come around here, at least in my backyard.
Okay. Like the worst of the Christmas songs.
Let's see. That Fa La 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 thing, that's overdone.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, do they mean like worst because of like, oh, I just hate that, or is it like worst of like, oh, it's the worst because it's constantly
Yeah.
played.
It could be for any reason. You can pick the criteria for your reason.
Well, my problem with Christmas songs, especially because I listen to it on the radio station that will play it, is they'll take a song and then they'll play like 8 different versions of it. There are different singers singing the same song. Because I don't mind Winter Wonderland. Walking in a Winter Wonderland, it's a decent song. There's a lot of other songs I like better, but there are some people that sing that song that are terrible. The original version it's fine, but other versions of that song are horrible. So I mean, that's not my least favorite. I'm trying to think, but some versions of that song are bad.
That's my favorite, Troy.
But Jeff, you bring up a great point, though. because there are so few good original Christmas songs. It's like we've written them all. So people trying to do a new version of it.
It's at the point like who can remake it the best.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
I would think for me it's probably Come All Ye Faithful.
Okay.
Because
Oh, does that mean
you down there?
I think it does that you can't stay on air?
No, it's literally because like if you watch Christmas movies, it's constantly in every single one all the time. And then if you go to an area where people are going out caroling, that is the most consistent song. It's like, get out of my head. Leave me alone.
It's also the one that every single church starts their Christmas Mass or service with, too.
Yes.
It is. I mean, with rare exception. We had an exception this year with that, too.
Oh, yeah.
But it is almost always in every Christmas movie at the point at which you hit the climax and everything's great and everybody's happy. And they always play that.
Look at Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
About Scrooge. It's right there at the end. Once he's turned that light bulb on, that choir.
How many different versions of that are there?
I like the Mickey Mouse one. That's my favorite one. Yep. But yeah, there should be like a new idea for Christmas movies where it's like all these movies. It's all about we have to save Christmas. We have to save Christmas. Can we get an idea for a Christmas movie for once?
Okay. Well, okay. Since I did a recommendation on our show, here's my recommendation on here. Go watch The Christmas House. Yes, those of you that don't like Hallmark movies may not like it, but it covers representation. It's not your normal Christmas movie. And I love it. And they did have a sequel. It's led with a same-sex couple as a heavy part in the movie, which I thought was awesome. Representation. The main character brother is an actor. Handsome Justice. The name of his TV show that he's on. And it's just their parents. They did the Christmas House every year. They were going to do it one more time because the parents are getting divorced. Got to save the house to keep to the tradition. Overall, both movies are really good. The second one, in my opinion, is better, which is uncommon because the brothers end up staying. Like the one owns the one house, the other one is temporarily staying in the one next door, and it becomes a competition of who can have the better Christmas house.
Nice.
So
I'm going to end this with a potentially extremely controversial thought. So much so that Anthony has disowned me for it.
Uh-oh.
Outlaw Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. I am done with it.
Yes.
I'm
done with it.
I troll my parents with that song so much because it's so overplayed, but I'll just start singing it and they're like, stop. No. I mean,
all I want for Christmas is you.
Especially when you work for a radio station. Granted, I work with news and sports stations. There are always music stations that are right next door. You are hearing that song coming over the loudspeaker every 90 minutes. And when you work in a radio station, you are forced to hear it, even if it's in the background. I am so sick of it. I'm done with it.
But yeah.
Yes, 100% agree.
Oh, Jay, I shared this stream on my Twitter. I hope
Thank
that was
you.
okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
I linked your profile to my
Appreciate it.
tweet.
I appreciate it. And what you guys have done with Anthony as well has been fantastic. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
For everyone watching, this is a sampling of what Young Guns does. Talking football, talking stuff outside football, even.
Yeah.
Check them out.
Thank you, man.
And check out Sorgy Stories, man. They deserve way more than 1,000. They should have like 140. I'll do one better. 500,000 subscribers. Get this man to 500,000, man.
I appreciate it. And
I tell Mark all the time that what works on YouTube or what has tons of subs shouldn't, and what does not should. It's criminally underrated how all of these channels that we talk sports are so low.
Troy, thank you. Make sure you subscribe to all these guys. All.
Hey, didn't he talk on the chat about how Snoopy and the Red Baron's a good song just now? That's a good song. Yeah, I heard that from the Quentin Tarantino movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was so cool.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, man. Amen.
They don't play it too much either.
And the Red Baron, da 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 da. 10, 20, 30, or 50 or more, and the boy Red Baron run up a storm. Amen. Try da 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 da. The boy Red Baron was run up a storm. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I forgot the rest of
it. Isn't that like similar to songs about college football teams that beat like 1AA opponents 63-5?
Oh yeah, I remember on the Great Pumpkin where I heard the Missouri Fight song that Schroeder was playing. Yeah, that was pretty
cool. One last song I'll discuss before we wrap it up. James Brown once wrote a song about the Georgia Bulldogs.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Really?
Look up Vince Dooley's Junkyard Dogs.
Ooh, all right. Vince Dooley's Junkyard.
Go find it. James Brown could take your grocery list and turn it into a funk masterpiece. That's what he did with this song about the Georgia Bulldogs. He infused their play-by-play guy, Larry Munson. I mean, just outstanding funk song about college football.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Go
man.
check
I
that out.
see it. Oh, man. It's so awesome. He's playing at the state. Oh, man. I love it.
Yes. Go check it out. Gentlemen, it has been a blast staying up until the ridiculous hour of the morning with you. Thankfully, I don't start work till 1:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, man.
So I can sleep in a bit.
Thank you for having us on, Jay.
Thank you.
And
yeah, thank you, man. It was really cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
For Mike, for Jackson, for Jeffrey, for all our guests today, I'm Daddy. Jay, to the rest of the world. Have a fantastic night. We will see all of you soon. Thank you, guys.
Stay safe and stay warm. It's cold outside.
Amen. Amen.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2023. We'll see you.